I pulled up the stream and I'm not hearing it. I do see your head and Missouri background. Yep. Yeah. Let me just double check it's not me doing something wrong. Oh, I hear myself now. That's interesting. No.
How is it now? Anything coming across now? Might be that my recording setup is messing with the live streaming for some reason. Okay, you can hear me now. Okay, perfect. That was just some issue with the settings. All right. Okay, cool. All right. So, yeah, the plan today is to try and lab out the Prism matchup a little bit, since I am expecting that it's going to be a pretty highly represented deck, with Dromai being out of the format for now. And all of the Illusionist players, trying to find something that they can play instead. I do think it's very, very highly dependent on how good the Prism player is at actually playing their deck, because it's a very tricky deck to play. But I also think that it's not a favorite matchup for Uzuri if they know what they're doing. So what we're trying to do is try to figure out if certain tech cards are actually impactful in that matchup, and just generally like what is the best game plan that you can take in order to make it as favored as possible. So I'm joined today by Tom. So say hello. Hi, Tom.
Hello, internet.
And thanks for
Small
joining
sect of
me.
the internet that we're a part of.
Yep, the small sector of Uzuri, basically, and everybody who likes to play her. So Tom's an Uzuri veteran, I would say. Um, but he's
Yeah.
also a pretty good illusionist player. So he's going to be representing the Prism side today, and trying to teach me a little bit about how to approach that matchup. And we're just going to switch over to Talishar here.
I want to learn some things about Prism as well. I have some ideas about whether an ALS loop is actually
Mm-hmm.
the right thing to be doing at all.
All right.
Maybe it's only the thing to do against Guardians specifically, but we can start out with this looping game plan,
Okay.
because I
Sure.
imagine that's what most of your opponents will do at a ProQuest.
Yeah, I think that that's like probably reasonable, because I think they're just going to be like, right, if it's a slower deck, right, they're gonna try to loop it basically. So yeah, that's definitely something we can try out first, and I think it's also the one that gives like the most headache to anybody who's had to play against it, because like once they get the loop out, if you don't run the cards to get out of that, you just lose on the spot, right? Mm.
It's something like you lose on the spot. Basically, if you have fewer life points than the
Hmm.
Prism has cards in deck, then yeah, you lose.
Yeah, you can kind of like you can try to loop them, or like try to fatigue them through the loop. Sometimes that works, but yeah.
But this is part of the reason I think maybe the loop isn't actually the best thing for Prism. It takes, if the opponent literally can't get out of it, and you, as the Prism player, have not set up a way to go over the top
Hmm.
on some number of turns,
Hmm.
maybe you don't have enough soul, there are a lot of restrictions on this,
Yeah, yeah.
then the game plays out for 30 turns, and your opponent doesn't know if they can simply scoop,
Hmm.
because who knows, maybe you run out of light cards in your deck to field the Genesis. There
True.
could be some strange strange circumstances that lead to the Prism not getting it. In
Hmm.
other words, it's not fully deterministic if you
No, like
don't have
I don't think
perfect
you
conditions.
should like concede on the spot once they get the loop out, because there's definitely a way for you to maybe still win. But I think even if you manage to break the loop a couple of turns down the line, it's still hard for you to get back from the value that they have accumulated, right? Like even if they not all they do is attack you with an angel every turn, and that's it, that's the only thing they do every single turn, they're still getting a soul, like a spectral shield every turn, right? So if you break the loop, let's say 5 turns down the line, they've basically gained 5 life on top of you not getting to play the game for 5 turns and burning through cards trying to to get out of it. So I don't know, it's rough. It certainly feels awful to be stuck in that loop. So let's try what happens. I have so we have the first like decision point up on the screen right now here. I won the die roll. I think in general against Prism you want to go first, just because the setup that they get to do for free when they go first is something that you should try to deny. Like, how do you feel about that? Would you go second into
Um,
Prism to get tempo, or what do you generally want to do as the Prism in that scenario?
yeah, so it does depend on kind of the level of aggression that the opponent can produce
Mm-hmm.
with a random 4 cards.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so let's take the example of a Guardian.
Mm-hmm.
Um, their random 4 cards is, I don't know, 10 damage.
Mm-hmm.
So Prism can like pretty comfortably choose first or second. They're not gonna leak damage if they go second, for
Mm-hmm.
instance. Um, there's this other kind of there's this other factor that modulates this. If you're against a deck that you expect to fatigue you, then you don't want to go first and set up a single aura and pass. They'll just
Mm-hmm.
bop it with the weapon, and then you didn't get anywhere.
Yep.
So kind of combining these factors against Uzuri, I think there's really no possibility of fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if Uzuri has like a million poppers and some number of 7 poppers, then maybe they can do a fatigue angle, like Remembrance, all this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's unlikely. So um, I would be comfortable going first as Prism, trying to set
Mm-hmm.
up 1 Spectra.
Yep. Yeah, and I think like for that reason, if I have the choice, I'm going first as Uzuri. Like the number of impactful plays that Uzuri can do turn 0 is not that high actually. But just attacking like with daggers twice and keeping up the possibility of popping whatever aura they can play in response if I try to end turn, right? Um, is fine. Like the thing you need to keep in mind is you have to end the turn, like turn 0, with an action point still available. If you just go like isolate into whatever and the Prism feels comfortable taking the whatever, like because most things that Uzuri can send turn 0 are just vanilla damage, right? Like Shakedown doesn't really matter. CNC certainly doesn't matter, right? So like basically the only really impactful play you can randomly get sometimes is like isolate into Death Touch. But even then, the Prism's probably gonna be fine leaking a little bit of damage in order to set up an aura that you can't pop. at instant speed. So try to always end your turn with an action point still available. So if they flash in an aura and you have an attack still in hand, you can clear that. Is kind of like my go-to, I think. All right, so for equipment, I do have time skippers in the sideboard here. That's one card that I'm trying to test out just to sort of insulate against the ALS loop. So that's definitely something I'm bringing. Then I will start with Balance of Justice, just because Prism does draw cards at some point in the game, so it's gonna be live. Then we have Tunic, of course, and I will run Spider's Bite and Graven Call, because I do think Flick Knives is very strong against Prism, because you can negate Angel value to an extent with that. And then having the possibility to gain silver and do that in extra time is also very good. So that's why I'm trying Graven Call. The link to the list that I'm running is going to be down in the description, although this is not the list that I would be running necessarily right now if I was thinking like a broad meta, basically. I took out a couple of cards to include specific tech against Prism that I want to test out, mostly running 3 copies of Amnesia. I just want to, you know, really like limit test this card and see how much it actually does for the matchup, because I think it has the potential to be quite good, but I'm not exactly sure if that's really the case. So we're gonna just try to limit test this today. Then I'm also gonna bring in like Sinks and Fates, because D-Reacts are great for covering Heralds. I'm gonna bring Codex of Bloodrot, because that card is just generally really strong at pressuring Prism. I don't think I'll be bringing any Shreds, because in my experience, Prisms generally are very happy to just go no blocks in order to trade life for board state. And that's something that might be incorrect, actually. And that's just the way my testing has been going. Like, what's your thought on that? Would you try to play pretty aggressive as the Prism, or do you play defensive and try to set up something?
Well, first of all, I can say everything up to this topic I agree with.
Mm-hmm.
The time skippers we'll determine today if that's good enough, and the rest I agree with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then as for the posture you take, I think because Prism doesn't have much blocking potential,
Mm-hmm.
your instinct about Shred makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there will be turns that the Prism wants to block.
Mm-hmm.
If they're on a full combo, sometimes they draw the hand that's 4 Heralds, and their best play is just to block with them.
Yep.
So it could be interesting to have some number of Shreds to make them respect, swap into CNC. CNC pretty good blowing up one of the combo pieces that Prism usually tries to put in Arsenal. So we could vary the number of Shreds and see what works.
I'm just like, my issue is right now, I'm honestly not sure what I would take out for them. That's kind of the point, because like, I mean, I run Give and Take, and it's not fantastic in this matchup, but I think any card that allows me to pressure is good. So I'm leaving Give and Take in. Same reasoning goes for Come to Fight, right? It's kind of like an extender that just allows me to convert a full hand into more damage, which is good. And I'd be most inclined to take out maybe Plunder the Port, just because it doesn't do a whole lot in this matchup outside of being a 0-cost 4-power attack. You are most likely not making silver off of this. It's like the only hit in the typical Prism list is like the blue auras and then like Wartune Herald. And anything else in the deck is 2-cost or above. So that's one card that I would be fine with cutting down to an extent. I don't know. Let's try it.
My
Yeah.
opinion on that is the most likely replacement for yellow Shred or blue, because they are both also pitch cards, would be Come to Fight.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Because it's like they still have the extender purpose, and at worst they're pitching to your dagger if you have a sick read on the Prism's hand.
That makes sense. Like, I'm not running blue Shreds. I only have yellows in the list, because I'm on Concealed Blade over blue Shred with this deck right now. But I'm fine with taking out the Come to Fights, because I also need to block a lot in this matchup, right? So the chance of actually getting to keep this extender and meaningfully convert it outside of like turn 0 or something is actually not that high. So let's take out the counterfight and then put in 2 yellow shreds, and then I'll also take out 1 Plunder the Poor to bring it down to a clean 60, because I think you definitely want to run a clean 60, because Prism is one of those matchups where you're the aggressor and you need to kill her as fast as possible.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yep, so let's try that, and then we just run with that. Alright, okay, and we are the turn. We're on the play here, because we decided to go first, right? So we have a bunch of cards in hand here that are fine to have. And then I want to get this into arsenal. So I am going to attack with a dagger here. Pitching the Codex of Frailty, because that's just borderline useless in your opening hand. Doesn't do anything if you don't have the graveyard to actually make it work. Yep.
Me letting this hit should tell you something about my hand.
Probably your hand has a whole bunch of non-blocks in it. And the thing is, like, if I run out anything else right now, my hand means that I can't do anything else. So you might be tempted to let that hit and then develop an aura. To answer a question from the chat, Graven Call is also for the Guardian matchup. And then generally, because I run Concealed Blade, I can bring it in once I flicked away another dagger into any matchup where I have tempo and some silver. The card is fantastic for pressuring people. You can flick upwards of like 4 to 5 times in a game, and that feels extremely oppressive. But I would generally start with it only against Illusionist and Guardian right now. Yeah, I think like the problem is I don't think I can attack here anymore, because that means that maybe you leak some damage, but I would assume you have at least 2 Heralds in hand. So you can probably, I mean, I hit you with the Spider's Bite, so you couldn't block whatever I hit you with. But I have to give up my entire hand, and then I don't get an arsenal if I want to attack here again. So I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't know if that's the correct choice, to be honest. But I think I'm just going to pass here and then arsenal this.
I think you went through all the possibilities well enough to just choose arsenal.
Yep. And then Triumph is obviously annoying, because I have poppers, obviously, right? And this is annoying for them, but the good part is that I have, in fact, kept the D-React to cleanly cover that up. Okay, this is a card that I don't think we need right now. Although it could be interesting if we arsenal this. Yeah, I don't think we can arsenal that, unfortunately. So I think this is a card that I'm willing to... I'm fine leaving it on the top, honestly, because it still blocks 3, so it's okay. I think I'll leave that on top. And then let's see. Okay, you set up the Pierce Reality, and then you pass. Okay. So that gives me a couple options here. Yeah. I think the best option here is like you try to disrupt the Prism as much as you can. And Pierce is kind of annoying, because it makes all of these on-hits that much harder to block. But with this hand right now, we can't afford to clear it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this out. And I'm going to skip the arsenal, because we only had, we had a full red hand, unfortunately. So that's kind of annoying, but... let's see if Amnesia actually does anything. To answer...
Spoiler alert. my best hand or my best play with this hand is just to
Arclight
just to make
Sentinel.
a Spectra. Yep.
Right, okay. Fair enough, yep. Okay, sure. Then you take 6, and then you don't care about the Amnesia effect because you don't have a turn anyways. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think if I had a hand with 2 Heralds in it, it would
Mm-hmm.
be pretty easy. Block with 2 Heralds,
Yep.
send a 3rd Herald with the
Yep.
Pierce, make you have the Popper.
Yeah, makes sense. Like, that's legit.
But this is kind of this is the dance that Prism players sign up for.
Yep.
Is when you draw the hand of all no
Yeah,
blocks, you need to
sure.
navigate.
Okay, that's kind of interesting. That's actually not too bad because like the only thing we can do here is attack the Arclight Sentinel, right? So actually getting this right here is actually not that bad. Because it still pressures the Prism a little bit. And then we can actually do something else here. I do have to Arsenal now, and that's a little bit annoying. I think I'll Arsenal this just because it's the cleaner play. And then I will dagger the Arclight Sentinel because I have to.
Right. So I'm gonna hold priority and think here.
Mm-hmm.
My hand includes a Merciful, so I could choose to play it out and get an Arcane Ping plus a Soul plus potentially more. So let me see if this makes sense or if I have a different play. I'm not sure I do have a better one. My hand is Figment, Blue War Tune, Genesis Merciful, and my arsenal is a Tome. So I could Merciful, get my Soul, and then play the Tome and try to do something with Pierce Reality. Which seems promising. I think the other option is play Genesis or Merciful, and then use my blue to pay for Blood Rot.
All right,
and
that
keep
also
the Tome in
works.
Arsenal. But I think I want to go for this Merciful play because I can leverage the Pierce, and if you have a Popper, I still trigger Prism.
Yep. That's like one of the issues with Merciful is like it makes your poppers basically useless, because whether you pop or not, they still get the trigger. So you have to kind of like block out heralds regularly, and you can't really rely on popping, which is kind of annoying. One thing is like as long as Merciful is on the board, you cannot loop me. Because if I break the loop, it just goes to Soul. And this is actually something that is already happening here. Like, you don't have an ALS in the graveyard right now, right? So in order for you to set up the loop now, you have to find exactly your 2 other Arclight Sentinels. Which already means, like, in terms of the loop being dangerous to me, that has just gotten a little bit less likely. But also Merciful is really annoying for me to let it stick around because it's like it's damaging me, right, and all of that stuff. So
yeah, I think if you let Merciful live, the game becomes way different. Like I get to do I get to be so much more greedy.
For sure, yeah.
So I did draw a Herald. I just need to think about which pitch card I use. Yep, I think it's this one.
Okay, Triumph, of course, yes. Coming in for 8, yeah. That is annoying for sure. Let's see. Can I block this and still have an impactful play? That's kind of the point here. My problem right now is that I'm not seeing any of my extenders, and that's kind of annoying. So I think
I might use this time to bring up a topic about what to do when blocking a Herald feels bad. like, is it the end of the world to let one hit, and then try to make a play? And
I
and I think
think,
this is like one of the big decision points you have as the quote unquote aggressor in the matchup.
yeah. Like, I think that the issue with that is, I would be fine letting this hit if you were at a lower life total already, and if I had a hand that could go really aggressive, right? And that's kind of like, I have a pretty good 3-card hand right now, but I don't have a good 4-card hand or 5-card hand even, right? That's kind of the main issue that I have with this hand right now.
So maybe there is a good scenario to get defensive value out of your redundant card and then send the rest.
That's kind of the question. Like, I think because this Herald is gonna go to Soul either way unless I full block it out, right? Yeah. It does feel slightly annoying. Actually, I think I have a line that's like pretty decent generally. And that also allows me to do a little bit of setup. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this and this and this. Block this
Okay.
out.
Interesting.
And then, yeah.
Yep.
Right.
I have an interesting decision now whether I pay for this blood rot.
Mm-hmm.
You using the armor means there's probably something coming at me. So I'm not going to pay for this.
Mm-hmm.
You take one from the merciful.
Sure.
Gotcha.
All right. Then I'm gonna go. So like this is also an interesting decision point. I have the option of doing starting with a dagger here, and the problem is that leaves me open to getting blown out by Arclight Sentinel again, right?
Yeah, I don't think the first Arclight was a blowout. It was
The first one was
4
okay.
cards for
Yeah, I
3
think,
cards, basically.
yeah, I think the first one was just kind of you playing efficiently around the fact that my on hit wouldn't be relevant if you don't have any cards in hand.
Yeah, and my hand did nothing else.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I like my chances of you not having another Arclight Sentinel here enough that I feel fine attacking with this. But maybe that's a miscalculation.
We will see.
Yep.
I think I'm okay letting this one hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to play a little bit faster because we could easily talk every line through, but it would
Sure.
take
Yeah, no, that's
so long. Ooh, okay, that's what I didn't want to see. My arsenal is a soul shield.
Oh, nice. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So that's also like, this is one of those matchups where actually swapping in your CNCs can be less good than just playing them face up. And I think my list has a little bit of an advantage in that regard because I run more blues and less stealth cards than like your average redline list. So I'm kind of naturally forced into, like, I could have gone backstab into CNC because that also just never gives you a window to actually play out the D-React, right? But I wanted to get the backstab into Arsenal in case I draw up a looking for a scrap.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this all makes sense. And I think from my side, again, like choosing to arsenal the soul shield instead of paying for the blood rot token, basically I had to think, is a CNC coming with Spider's Bite Tunic, or is it any other type of swap? And I think I just got myself kinda wrecked, but we'll see if I can play out of it. I still have both auras, which is nice.
Definitely, yeah. Like, the problem is I haven't really found a good way to clean them so far. Because I don't want my turn to just be clear an aura. Like,
Indeed.
which means I need an extender, and then I can clear the aura. And that just gives you some vanilla damage, and that's fine. But I don't think I have the luxury of just going clear merciful pass, because that gives you way too much agency. I need to keep up the pressure on both your life total and the fact that you need to play around my disruption to some extent, right?
Yeah. And so given the state of things, I actually need to use the Dreamweaver.
Yep. Yeah,
Um,
I think that's the correct
this has to
correct play.
demand a respect from you, or I'm losing by a lot.
Yep, I think that's correct. And
And
that
I
also
think
puts me. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say if Prisms aren't on Dreamweavers into this matchup, I think you're feeling very nice.
Oh yeah,
Just as
much
an
much
aside.
much better if it's like because generally the arm slots that Illusionist has access to are just kind of weak. Um, I've seen like Goliath Gauntlet, which is okay because it's like 2 damage for something like Herald of Erudition, which is pretty nice. Um, but it just doesn't feel as threatening as having the you cannot pop this turn no matter what you do.
Yep.
So yeah, I definitely agree with that reasoning. And I also think so. This is one of those turns where again my hand doesn't really do anything offensively well enough to keep a large hand and letting this hit, but also blocking that with just one card feels bad. And I also don't want to give you the extra value of getting a yellow Herald of Triumph back on your deck, because those are like the most annoying for me to deal with.
This one could actually fetch a red.
Oh, true. Yeah. That's even worse, actually, yeah. So I think I kind of need to still block this, and that potentially means that I need to give you Tunic here, which really hurts.
Yeah, so I wanted to comment, but you were in a train of thought. The original block with Balance of Justice is, I think, a little bit greedy.
Okay.
Because like one of the best heralds in any matchup is Erudition,
True.
and Balance just so cleanly answers it.
That is
A
true.
little bit different because I have Pierce and Merciful on the board, but anyway, go ahead and think about your turn.
Yeah, like it doesn't do a whole lot, so I think again I have to play this aggressively. So I think I am blocking like this, which doesn't feel great, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, and now you'll see the real reason I had to use
you
Dreamweaver.
had the Wrath. Okay, yeah. Like the thing is, Wrath is one of those cards that you can't play around. I think it's not
extremely difficult.
It's really like unless I have a D-React in Arsenal here, I don't think I can play around that. And if I had the D-React, I would just go like three block and then D-React to just clean block the 7.
I'm wondering if I can. No, I can't layer this any differently. So I'm actually just gonna end up shuffling the Herald that I put on top because of Prism.
Oh, okay, true. Because they're both hit effects. So if that hits, put it into your hero's soul, and because that's like one distinct effect.
Yes,
that
it won't
puts
go
it
to
into
soul.
the soul and then puts the card on top. It's not two separate triggers. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
And it has to go to soul before Prism looks for a card.
Yeah, that's true.
Resolve everything.
Yeah.
Which means I think I still want to put the red one in because I want to leave myself a target for the Rebirth Figment at some point.
Makes sense, yeah.
So there's a likelihood I end up blocking with a Rebirth Figment, but this also works. I don't want Erudition yet. I think it's just going to be Protection.
So I don't know if giving you Tunic here was the correct play. In light of the Angelic Wrath, definitely not. But I didn't have access to that information beforehand, so yeah, let's see how that works out.
Yeah, I'm also not sure. It's very aggressive.
Yeah, it's definitely a very aggressive play, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep up the aggression. I still haven't found any extenders, which is very bad. Because those are kind of like seeing your aggressive cards early is sort of the thing that you need to do.
Right.
Or like need to happen, right? And it's kind of bad that it hasn't happened so far, but it's also obviously, yeah, there's a Soul Shield. So if I had a Nerf Scalpel, I think this is where I would actually already flick it.
I do have a Spectral, though, That's the
Oh yeah,
problem.
true. You have the spectral, so that
Yeah,
doesn't
I
actually
I
do
think
anything. Yeah. Mm.
basically I just got very lucky to draw a soul shield.
Yes, that's definitely huge here. Yeah. I mean, I did get to blow up the first one, so it feels kind of okay. But yeah,
Yeah, true, true. So I
yeah,
it comes around and goes around.
that's how it goes. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So I have
War tune. Okay,
another one of
sure.
these.
Yep.
This looks like pauper territory though.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I'm just thinking which one. Which should probably tell you a little bit about like what my hand looks like, but yeah. Um, so these hands are honestly not great. I'm gonna be real with you.
Yeah, we're both struggling a little.
Yep, definitely, yeah. Which feels like okay, but I think because I don't have a good way of setting it up, I think I'll actually use this here. Even though I would love to get that into Arsenal, but I can't. So I think I'm gonna pop with that.
So many triggers.
Hmm.
I think this might be a good time to go for a rebirth
Mm-hmm.
and put my triumph on top, see if I might play it next turn.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Don't need the action points.
And then you
Yes.
have the rebirth already in play in case you want to loop me later, so that feels pretty good. I still don't have any extenders, which is really annoying. So it's an interesting question. So my hand right now is like a sink below, an already dead, and a shakedown. Which doesn't feel great. So the problem
That's not
is
great.
it's not amazing, no.
So maybe your best play is to kill a Spectra and hold a Pauper. I mean, it's all kind of grim because you know I have the Herald of Triumph.
So like the thing is, I do have a Codex in Arsenal right now. So what I could actually do is like Codex, and then get back one of my blue stealth cards. To be able to turn the shakedown on, because like I don't want to just send a shakedown at your face and flick to turn it on, right? Because I need to keep my daggers up. But also that is like a really easy 2-card block for you that just doesn't really do anything, and you're kind of amassing a critical amount of board state here. So yeah, maybe just actually daggering something here is correct.
I think it really depends on how you expect to win the game. Like my face is pretty beat up already. Like it might be the time to just go
for face exclusively. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and
So
because
like,
we're trying to do some science, I think maybe that's what you should do.
yeah, okay. Like if I had an extender in the graveyard right now, I would 100% go for the frailty play here. Actually, I could bring back Death Touch. That's a pretty threatening on-hit, to be honest. It does kind of waste the Ponder in a way.
I think your original line of finding a swap target is
probably the best.
A little bit better than getting Death Touch.
Shakedown is just kind of like the most threatening that I have right here, I think.
Yeah.
So that probably makes sense.
Actually, hold on. When you play the Codex, I have an interesting choice.
Like if you have ALS, that kind of blows me out. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's muddled a little bit in that. Sorry, play the Codex again so we can have the priority window.
Sure.
It's muddled a little in that you told me what your hand was, so I can't make quite the like game theory decision making purist decision, but I have the ALS in Arsenal, I have a Tome of Divinity in hand, and the rest are heralds, so this could be a great moment for getting value out of my soul triggers. I'd be able to end with ideally a flipped angel. But if in your hand are some number of blues, then time skippers is kind of annoying. So
True.
this is a really tricky spot. Pretending I don't know what your hand is.
Yeah, fair.
There's also this kind of annoying thing. If I do the ALS play, my arsenal is empty.
Hmm.
So
Then you
I
have to
could,
discard to the codex and all of that stuff, yeah.
well, maybe, right?
Hmm.
I could get lucky and draw into more permanents
True.
and then play them all out.
Fair.
Um, which doesn't sound terrible. So I
Yep.
think I just need to weigh up like
Hmm.
what is the worst thing you could do and then go
Yep.
from there.
Sure.
Worst thing you can do is find a backstab,
Hmm.
basically. If you find a backstab and send it at me, I give you 6 block and
Hmm.
move on with my life, probably. You would have led with a dagger if you had a blue and were planning on doing this, though,
Hmm.
because you're still stranding an extra card in hand. So I think I can actually put you on 0 blues, which makes the arc light a
I
bit
think that's pretty realistic, yeah,
better.
in this scenario,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah. Like if...
Especially because if you had the blue,
Hmm.
it's likely a stealth card and you can just play it.
Hmm. True.
So your hand is no blues, no good stealth cards,
Hmm.
um, based on Codex of Frailty being your first play. So I can
Hmm.
determine that without knowing your hand, which means we just got to find out what's better. ALS or waiting. And yeah, I think just blocking and sending Herald of Triumph feels a little bit better.
Sure.
Um, because the downside to the ALS play is like if I do my thing and I'm gonna pitch 2 Heralds, put 1 in Soul. So
Hmm.
I'm drawing 4 random cards and I need them to like all be relevant
Hmm.
in terms of instance or cards that could block
Hmm.
your play. No, well, they only block your play if you time skippers, but you can't time skippers.
Unless I draw
So
blue somehow, yeah. Hmm.
unless you somehow get a blue, right? So
I
really
mean,
what I'm doing
if you're
then.
drawing a bunch of cards, I can crack balance and potentially draw blue.
Oh, yeah. All right, that feels
Um,
pretty terrible. I think I'm
yeah,
not going to do that.
yeah,
All right, resolve codex.
sure. Yeah, and I think my initial thought of trying to send like backstab into shakedown is still like relevant, right? So I think I'm still gonna do that, and then just send the backstab at you, and then I'm discarding, I think, one of my poppers, even though that also doesn't... I don't know if I should hold the popper here. I know you have a triumph, right? So the popper doesn't really do anything. And I like to have the sink in arsenal potentially, unless I draw something that's even better off of the ponder. So I think I'm fine with
Yeah.
discarding the popper here, even though that generally doesn't
Hmm.
feel great.
I think the
And
sync in preparation for triumph makes a lot of sense.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're just giving me 2 cards. That makes sense. I'm
Hmm.
not switching in here, which actually just means I get the backstab back in the graveyard, so that's also not terrible.
Yeah. I mean, this is such a weird turn cycle,
Really
right? It
strange
goes
line,
from
yeah.
yeah, like you popped a herald into 3
Hmm.
card hand do 6 value because
Yep.
that's just really
It's
weird.
really odd,
But
yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Okay, now it's a triumph for 9, which also feels terrifying. Um, my hands are just not lining up, honestly. This is like not great.
I
So I'm not.
honestly I think it's not that bad.
Mm,
Um
I'm doing okay in
you yeah,
general, but
you're like half my life is gone
yeah,
and you've had disruption on enough turns in a row that I can't
yeah.
just do the thing. Like I had ALS Tome,
Hmm.
Triple Herald, this was the turn
Yeah, that's
if I
true.
could keep my whole hand.
That's true. So I'm just kind of like um thinking what I do here right now, because I think this is one of those turns where I sort of need to let that hit, but it still doesn't feel great because I have a bunch of defensive cards, and I kind of don't want to give you an extra figment, because like every figment that you have just makes the game exponentially harder for me to play, or rather to finish, right? That's really what it's about.
Yeah.
Every
think
single
so.
figment that you get online makes it exponentially harder for me to actually finish the game. So I'm trying to limit the amount of figments that you have as much as possible. The problem is the way I can do this right now is not in an efficient way, and that kind of sucks. So I think...
If you have a resource card, I think I'd be really tempted to block this out and kill a Spectra.
Like, the problem is I don't, right? I have only reds again. I have 4 reds in hand and a sink in arsenal. So I think
So you can try to sink into it.
I think I'm trying to like block for 6 and then sink the last card and then see what happens. I think that's the play I'm gonna make here. So
I like it.
I'm gonna block like this and then sink. And the last card I'm sinking is also a sink, which also again isn't great because I kind of like to have those just because they're good for clean blocking angels. Oh wait, that actually didn't work.
Yeah, sorry, I need to pass priority on that.
It just layered that on top, and now we're okay. All right, that's actually a lot better. So I can keep sending damage here, or I could clear an aura. The thing is, I feel like I need to actually prioritize Pierce here. Because Merciful means I can't really pop anyways, and then Pierce just makes everything so much harder to block.
On the flip side, if you clear the Merciful, then all of your poppers are live again.
Actually live again, yeah, that's also true.
Against non-Herald of Triumph.
Yeah, that is actually true, yeah. I think Merciful is still like the higher priority right now. But I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Because you still have like 7. Yeah, they both suck. That's kind of the issue. You still have 7 Heralds of Triumph in the deck. So the chances of you having one right here isn't like super low, to be honest.
Right.
I do think I need to take the off turn though to clear Merciful. I don't think I have another option here.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Because also it just gives you aggregate value in terms of like arcane damage that I'm eating, which also doesn't feel great. So yeah. And then I'm actually not gonna Arsenal, which tells you a lot about the last card that I have in hand.
Wow, yeah. So, I think, yeah, when you pass priority, I have an option to use the Vestige of Soul turned on to play some instants, but I think this is just my Halo turn.
Yep,
it's not perfect,
makes absolute sense, yes.
Like basically, I got an ALS worth of value plus, 6 arcane or whatever from that Merciful, and I should use that to try to do the thing.
Kind of snowball it, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, you're getting Erudition. That also makes sense.
Yep. I think I'll have enough to do what I want, but we'll see. Yep. It's tricky.
Yep. So, like, if I'm at 32 life, I am not blocking Angels. Because they're attack triggers, so I don't need to block this. I am, however, cracking Balance of Justice here because, like, why would I not? Okay, that's actually
I think this is definitely the turn to do it. You want as much knowledge as you can for
exactly. Yes, I'm
setting up a
this
time
like
skipper play
as early as possible. I'm not hating this, to be honest. Like, this is actually pretty decent. I think I can work with that. Yeah. Okay, like I'm still eating the angel, so that's kind of fine.
Okay, so now I have an interesting. I need to do some math. I have 6 pitch. I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna go to 2 float, and I would need to draw a blue and 2 yellows to. Okay, yeah. So the pitch is actually get rid of Arclight. Play this.
Sure.
Yeah, indeed, I would have gotten myself mega owned by drawing reds, which again, like, I don't think we are really interesting. Hold on, let me think. Yeah, I should do this before you pretend you don't know there's an ALS there, or maybe
sure.
And you do know it. Either way is fine, actually.
Yeah.
I should send this with go again.
Okay,
Okay, so actually, I
Triumph.
want to take
Yep.
this moment. Let me talk about why I think full looping as Prism might not be the best game
Mm-hmm.
plan. Look at this turn
Yep.
and tell me where an ALS loop would be better than sending Herald of Triumph for 9,
Yep.
plus having all my permanents for later, plus still having 4 cards in hand to play another thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I can always convert this game state to a win
Yeah.
if I'm a good Prism player. I don't need to do
Yeah.
a full
Yeah.
loop.
That's kind of the point. Like you have so much. The problem is like I didn't see my extenders early, so I had to let the aura stay around, and they just accumulated value for you that I wasn't really able to get out of, right?
Right.
Because like all of my turns were like, okay, send 6 at your face, and that's it. And I need to do more than that in order to actually win this, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the issue. Um, so like, yeah, like, the point is right, because you're saying like, here comes the loop. He doesn't need to loop me here. That's kind of the thing. Like, I'm not winning this even if he's looping me. That's kind of the issue. Like, he could put the ALS down here just to spite me at this point, right? And that would be a pretty reasonable thing. So also the problem is this is another Triumph. So like, even I have 2 poppers in hand and they just do nothing because it's a Herald of Triumph and I don't run 7 power poppers. So maybe that's actually kind of the clue to solving this, is like just running Finals Fighting Spirit or something, or just Red Raging Onslaught. I don't know.
I could have
Um,
told you that before we started, but it would
yeah,
have been less fun.
that's fair. Yeah, like, I just don't want to run fucking Raging Onslaught. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's such a mopey card to have to run. The problem is also I cannot give you 3 cards on this. Um,
Yeah, that
right?
feels bad.
Like I have to let that hit. I have to let that
Well,
hit and just.
it depends, right? Like if you expect me to do an ALS this turn,
Mm.
then you
No,
block this.
I'm actually fine with you playing an ALS this turn
Okay.
because
Yeah,
I have time skippers, right? That's kind of the point. So I'm
I
actually
see.
fine with
Yeah.
that. That's all right. It's not like terrible or anything.
Okay. So now, once again, I have such an interesting choice to make.
Yep.
Um, it starts with, do I tutor this Figment of Triumph out of my deck? I think I do, just to get the non-block away. So I can play the ALS
Mm-hmm.
into your time skipper, which means ALS dies and Soraya dies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one option. Alternatively, I could play a Genesis and keep ALS in Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
Alternatively, I could play. If only this. Yeah, I could play another Herald of Triumph, and then my turn would be over, and I would lose all my ponder value and lose a whole lot. So the red Herald of Triumph was nice in that I got to attack with it, but I have another one here rotting in my hand. My play would be very easy if it was a yellow.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just see what the best option is. How much do I care about a ponder? I think actually my best arsenal is this red herald, so I'm I'm gonna play the ALS, make you deal with my stuff, and then
Yep.
hit you with another red triumph
Sure.
next turn.
Sounds reasonable. Yeah.
Uh,
All right. So I do fortunately have 2 blues here. So I can in fact use time skippers.
yeah, the balance coming in very nice.
Definitely, yeah. Problem is I don't really have space to play out anything else, which feels kind of sucky. Let's see, how do I do this? So this is an option, this is an option. This makes for a pretty decent arsenal. The problem is, like, I obviously need to clear Soraya. I can't let her stick around because you got 5 cards in soul. And you can't loop me right now because you only have one ALS, right, in the graveyard for now. So that doesn't really do anything. The question is, what do I use to clear the ALS? Let's see. I could go with that, but that feels awful. That also feels awful. I just don't have enough resources to do anything right now. Yeah, I kind of don't. That feels very bad. I would love to have a tunic here. Like, if I had a tunic resource, this turn would be a lot better than it is right now. But I don't, so yeah. Maybe what I'm doing is really just yeah, I think I need to do that. So I just oh my god, this is so bad. This is so fucking bad.
Well, I muted my mic. I'm so sorry for leaving you in the dark there.
No worries. So, it's fine.
I think you took 9 from the Herald for a reason.
Like, the problem is I might not have needed to, because my hand doesn't convert really terribly well, then, to be honest.
Let's just, if you want to go back, we can.
No, it's fine. Like, the only thing that changes is that I block an extra 3, that's it. Otherwise, the hand still doesn't really do anything. Like, what I'm trying to figure out is, what do I use to clear the Arclight Sentinel? Do I dagger it? And then I go looking for a scrap at Soraya, and that's it. And then that's just kind of sad, you know? I just don't have enough resources. That's kind of the problem. I feel like I need to send something at your face, or I just go clear auras here. That's maybe also an option.
I think if you leave the Soraya alive,
yeah,
that is
like, that's not
horrible.
An option. I need to clear that for sure. Okay, I think I have.
There is like a.
I have a plan that might work. I'm not sure if it will, but yeah, let's see how that goes. So then
I will say there's a tiny chance that letting me draw with Soraya just nets me a bunch of nonsense that I can't use, but that's such a huge gamble.
Yeah, no. I can't do that. So I think, like, I have an option here. I can pass here and set something up in Arsenal, or, because I still have an action point, right? I can actually wait. Hang on, let me just rewind that.
Right. So if it's double red in hand, you can kill the Pierce.
Exactly. That's kind of the point. Do I Arsenal? Because I have a Death Touch, which would be pretty good in Arsenal, right? Or do I clear the Pierce? Because that's honestly such a big headache for me.
I think your highest win rate play is to clear the Pierce and then hope that you get to pop my next turn.
I think so.
So if hoping for Popper is the play, then leaving the Pierce also works.
Yeah, because I have a Popper in hand, so that actually kind of works. I think I need to Arsenal here.
All right.
If I had another blue or a yellow, I think I would probably clear the Pierce, and I would feel pretty good. But yeah. Yeah, definitely the correct choice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this hand's actually not terrible.
Let me see here. Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is you just have more triumphs, right?
Yeah, I do.
And just triumph for 9 with go again is just not something I can actually beat. At Alfonso, no, I couldn't have sent Shakedown at face because he still had a Spectral up. So flicking the Angel doesn't work. He can just block 6 on the Shakedown, and then my Flick just goes into Spectral Shield, and Soraya still stays around. So that's unfortunately not a play I can make. And if he has Soraya in play, he's perfectly fine with keeping a 2-card hand, because he can just go Soraya, draw 2 cards, and still have a good turn. He doesn't mind blocking as long as he has Soraya out, so that's not really anything I can do. Yeah, I think this is another one that I'm just gonna have to let hit. Let me just see if I can maybe block a little bit. So the thing is, you probably have a follow-up to that, and I have a hand that I need a 3-card hand in order to do something here. So I think I need to let this hit, and then see if you maybe send another Herald at me, maybe.
Yeah, I have some choices to make. I think this is the highest.
Sure, yeah, that works.
Highest upside
so
for me, though.
100% blocking this would have been the wrong choice. If I had blocked this for 9, you would have just done that and still got your value. So definitely, I think correct not to block here. And you get Ravages, okay, sure. I mean, that just puts me on like a 3-turn clock at this point, right? Which also doesn't feel great.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah.
So okay. I had
Aegis,
I had an interesting choice because of this Celestial.
Yep.
But I think the Soul is better used to make these Spectrals as opposed to 7 go again with no follow-up.
Yeah, makes sense, yeah. So I think I do need to block here for sure, because otherwise I'm just dead. Yeah, I might need to prioritize Pierce. It's just such a... Like, the thing is, not every Prism runs it currently, but, like, Pierce is just so annoying. It's just such a headache, especially with the Triumphs, right? It just does not feel great.
That echoes what Arcana's saying in the chat.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and so I also want to point out I had another line where instead of the Angelic Wrath, I play out one of my Celestials that are in pitch. So it's like 4 more damage, but it costs me, I would go down to 1 soul after the turn. So I think the way I don't lose is by keeping my soul where it is.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
So that's why I did this, for anyone wondering.
Yeah, that does seem pretty reasonable, yeah. Okay, so yeah, my play right now is just go with this. I think I send that at your face, because it does force you to block if you don't want to lose the angel. Like, I think one issue that I had with this game is really that, like, this is the... Like, these last 2 turns are the first turns where I'm seeing any extenders. And that's definitely very bad for the matchup. Like, you need to have extenders in your early hands in order to put pressure on the Prism. Otherwise, it's like, they can do this, right? Like, Uzuri really doesn't do more than 6 to 7 damage per turn on, like, a 4-card hand. So that's... And you need, like, your E-strikes, you're looking for a scraps, right? Anything that can up that number, basically. So I think actually siding out the Come to Fight might not have been the correct play, just because it's another card that allows me to push more damage in your face, right? I don't know. We can try some like other stuff, yeah, for sure.
For instance, if you had the Shred on turn that you had to lead with Codex, you know, if your last card was Shred, I just get totally wrecked, and that's so it's all contextual.
That's true, yeah.
And at this point, I think I am in Unga Bunga mode.
Yep, for sure, yeah.
Not a whole lot of reason for me to block this, I would say. Actually, there is a reason, and it's Blood Rot tokens. I don't like those.
Yeah, those are really annoying for you to deal with because you run so few blues. I mean, the thing is, you can block this with like 1 card if you're willing to give up a Figment for it.
I don't think I am. I think what I want to do...
2 cards, so either thing
works,
right?
I think I just want to go for Avalon on this turn cycle.
Okay, sure.
I do leave myself open to getting flicked, but I think that'll be okay because I'll have like one of the best heralds ready to go. And I will have 2 of those. So what is my play? I'm gonna take this, flip, swing, pay, and play that. It might be redundant. Interesting.
So yeah, I definitely need to prioritize.
Maybe I double flip.
I definitely need to prioritize Pierce more. I think Archon's got that one 100% correct. I cannot let that stick because it's too good. It feels tempting to let it stick just because, like, you know, I can still pop. But the problem is with Triumph, you really can't, right? Like between Triumph, Passing, Halo, and Merciful, like relying on poppers in this matchup as the Uzuri, where you run like maybe 10 to 15 of them, and that's it. And none of them have like 7 power unless you bring them. I think you need to prioritize Pierce. Yeah, makes sense.
So I think I actually have found a different line for this turn. So my hand doesn't contain a herald, and I have multiple setup cards. I have 2 passing, a Genesis, and a Tome, and the game state is not where it needs to be for me to justify doing a setup play. So I think I will trade a card and a herald. Actually, I could do Footsteps as well. That's interesting.
I mean, they're gone if you do that, but yeah.
Yeah, well,
if you don't need them anymore, that's
I'm not
that's
sure it matters. Yeah.
Like you could.
So, and then I could go.
Do you need Vestige at this point in the game? That's also another question, right?
I don't. Yeah.
Because like
so
that
it could
also
be
has
Vestige,
block,
flip,
right?
lose 1 Spectral.
Yep.
Or I use 2 cards. Yeah, I just don't think the extra card in my hand is doing anything. So let's do it like this.
Okay.
Because I think having insulation from double flick is kind of huge.
Definitely, yeah.
And I'll awaken the one I don't care to use,
Triumph, probably. So
yeah,
I think that's the one that's like the least relevant in this situation.
Yeah. This is really.
Yep.
Like my deck could have handed me the win if it just showed me heralds. Now I need to work for it.
I don't mind hearing that. So yeah.
Yeah. So but I think it's definitely Avalon, and we're gonna pay to put a Triumph back.
Okay, yeah.
I don't have a yellow Triumph.
I
can choose. I
don't think. No, you do. You do have a yellow Triumph.
Oh, I do. Okay, I was baited by the banish from Soul.
Oh right, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yep.
So Herald of Triumph back on top of the deck, so you have that next turn, which is annoying, and I also need to block this, which is also annoying. Right, I think I mean I obviously have to block this, otherwise I'm just dead to Ravages. So
I would need to develop another Soul.
Yeah.
For you to be dead to Ravages, which means, like, if you assume nothing else hits, I have to play a Genesis Merciful or a Soul Shield.
Unfortunately, this hand also doesn't do a whole lot. This is just so bad, honestly. This is so bad. I think I need to clear Pierce at this point, because I know you have the Triumph coming up. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna block this with the Shred, Leak 1. Yeah. That seems like an, at best, okay play, I would say. And then what I also need to do is So the question is, do I clear Avalon directly? Or do I throw something in your face in order to make you block with a card? I mean, with Flick, I can potentially make you block with 2 cards here, I think. Because if you block with 1, that's 3. And then the spectral is like 2 more. This is so rough. This is so rough. Yeah, I think the problem is you have Ravages out, right? So I kinda can't really let you keep large hands. So I'm gonna send this at face and do go again, and then just see what you do.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy for me to block 5 on this.
Yep.
Yeah, I think a Codex is kind of bad, but not the end of the world. So yeah, I'll just block 5.
Makes sense, yep. Yeah, not sure if that was the right call, but yeah. And then I clear Pierce just because, yeah. I should have done that ages ago, to be honest.
Makes sense.
Definitely not the correct play to let that sit around, but yeah, what can you do?
I think it was tricky, right? Like we were at this stage where I had 16 life. Yeah, as much as I do now. That's kind of
yeah. That's kind of the point. Yeah.
I had 16, and your hand converted so much better on offense than it did by clearing it.
Yeah.
Aura.
That's kind of the issue.
So,
yeah, like you need to recognize that it just provides so much value for you down the line that you need to, you know, take care of it at some point. So
yeah.
Let's see. So I have a pretty clean 2-card block here, which is not the worst. And I know you have nothing else to follow this up, so that doesn't feel terrible. Let's see. Yep. Sure. Yeah, I think this is probably the best line. Yep. Okay, block for 6. At least it's only yellow, so you're not getting the breakpoint value. That's not terrible, to be honest.
Backstab, indeed. Interestingly, Malign would be pretty good here.
True. Yeah, it actually would if you're not blocking this, right?
Yeah.
So you could just put like a single card in front of it and then just, you know, insulate yourself against the Malign that way. And you haven't seen any yet, and I'm halfway through my deck, so I think it's reasonable to assume I'm not running them right now. But yeah,
I meant as the stealth card Malign in this specific scenario.
True. That's fair. Yes. Like I could totally see switching out the blue infects for blue Malign, because I think like reasonably it's a blue stealth card. Like they're almost never, the text on them is almost never relevant outside of like isolate and backstab.
Right.
I do feel like Infect has the better potential in like more scenarios, but as like the specific anti-Prism card that maybe gives you like 1 or 2 percentage points into her, maybe bringing Malign is okay just because the cost of opportunity to do it is basically negligible, right?
Right. So I really don't like my position at the moment. I think essentially I think my ideal play is to look for a larger hand to finally push over the top, and I just haven't found it yet. So I need to weigh up whether it makes sense to block, or you know, some other alternatives. I need to know what my hand looks like that pushes over the top. Does Avalon have a good target? Probably not worth the soul.
I mean, Triumph is pretty okay in this spot, I think. Still.
Triumph is okay.
You have Erudition.
Have Erudition.
That's also not terrible because I have like no armor left.
Yeah. I might have a Passing Mirage floating around in my deck. I think that could be the window that I'm looking for. So maybe I do just block.
And you do have
If your
one in
last
the
card,
graveyard, so it's
yeah,
definitely in there. But yeah.
I know one of them is in the
Mhm.
pitch zone or
Yep.
like near the bottom.
Yep.
So basically, I think the only card I really care about you getting in Arsenal here is Death Touch.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones are fine because they cost you
Yep.
so many cards to play.
True.
So blocking 6 doesn't feel horrible.
Mm-hmm.
If I block 3, I do get to do a little bit of setup, lose the Avalon. Yeah, maybe it's just 6 block and swing 4.
Yep.
This also is the best against Flick Knives, I think.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense, yeah, for sure.
But I mean, it's like you buy yourself a whole card here, which
Yep.
I'm not in love with. But I think the way I win the game is, again, I just need to go over the top. So
the question is, do I Arsenal this? I think keeping the popper here is not correct, because you're most likely just going to swing an angel and then Arsenal something. So I think I'm fine arsenaling this, even though it's like the worst arsenal. I have a shakedown in hand right now, right? And that feels like the worst to arsenal, honestly, out of the options that I have. But I think I'm still okay arsenaling this. Okay, interesting hand. Interesting hand. All right. I feel okay, just you did not actually do something, right?
I did not.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I'm holding my soul.
Yep, makes sense.
Yep, sink below is a good answer.
Yep, and then I am sinking out, I think this, because that doesn't do much. That's slightly better, but not that much better. God, these hands are just awkward as fuck. I need blues. What is going on here? I don't have resource cards. I have drawn so many all red hands this game.
How many blues are you playing?
15.
Yeah, that is a number. That's like 1 per hand,
In
70
theory.
something percent.
Yes,
of the
but
time.
I
Yeah.
have drawn, this is like the, I think, 5th or 6th all red hand that I had. With like stuff like sink below to cycle out, right? So, yep. Yeah, so what do I do here? This just feels awful. Like, I'm getting all of my extenders now when they're not doing anything, which also feels horrible.
Yeah, I think this is probably why it's going to be Prism favorite in the long run.
For sure, yeah.
You know, we're gonna play enough games, and we'll find the games where you see the extenders early, and you have a really good chance to win.
I think I need to kind of like high roll a little bit to make this matchup winnable, and the Prism just needs to play their average game to win, right? That's kind of the thing.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that just, it doesn't feel like a good spot. Ironically, this would be a hand where I would love to have a Rabble. which I just, or Tunic again. Like, I think blocking with the Tunic was definitely the wrong play. I should not have done that. Like, even disregarding the fact that you had the Angelic Wrath, I think blocking with it that early was just a complete misplay on my end. Because I think the best thing I can do in this situation is, no, nothing I do here is good. That's kind of the problem right now. So I think the best thing I can do is actually this.
Yeah.
Send that at you.
Try to bluff me a little bit.
And then do this and keep an arsenal.
Yeah, okay.
Doesn't feel great, trust me. But I think sending the CNC with my hand would be even worse.
Yeah.
Because it's a 2-card block for you, and then I have a card in Arsenal that I don't really want to be in Arsenal, and you just keep doing whatever you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
So that
and I
also
think
doesn't feel amazing.
I have a greedier line where I block with 1 card and let Avalon die, but
Yep.
this line seems way way better.
Yeah, I think so too. That's probably better here.
Well, you'll
Okay.
yeah, you'll see. We'll talk about if my choice was right.
And it's Triumph again, of course. Yeah, that's true actually, yeah. Like, blocking with Tunic was caused by not dealing with Pierce, yeah. I completely agree. So it's like one misplay led to another misplay, basically, and then down the line, it kind of forces me into the position that I'm in right now. That is definitely absolutely true. What do I do here? We're at this point where I kind of don't want to give you more soul, so blocking this is actually quite relevant. The question is, how do I block it? Like, I know you can't send another Herald, so you either Arsenal or you swing Avalon for 4. Which, I mean, is lethal, so kind of relevant at this point. And this just feels terrible. Yeah, I think I need to double block this, unfortunately. Let's just do a quick graveyard check. I have this in here. Yeah, okay, I'm good. I can block like this. And like that. Yep.
All right, I'm gonna make you have a reaction.
Nice. I do have a reaction.
Very nice.
Yeah. I'm fine with leaving that on top. Simply because... Yeah, I think it's fine to leave that on top. Just because I do want the blues. Because like all these hands with no blues were really terrible. So let's see. This is also interesting. I could clear Avalon right now. And that honestly doesn't feel like the worst play to make. Yeah. I don't know. Nah. Let's see. We're gonna go with this for now.
Scrap into me.
Yep.
So let's see. Yeah, I think I'm just blocking.
This matchup
Not
feels so
too
weird.
much reason not to.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think. And now I have a pretty clear alternate win con, I think. Actually, hold on. Let me think one more time.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
Oh yeah. You can stay where you are. You don't have to rewind the turn. I just want to consider another line. Nope, not good enough. Never mind. This is it.
Sure. This just feels like such an odd matchup, honestly.
Yeah. I have found an alternate win con, so I'm just gonna make a weird looking play.
The point why I'm not going for Avalon right now is like, if he has a 4-card hand, that is like really an issue for me, I think. And if I push damage his face, then I get to actually he has to basically choose between protecting his board state, right, or protecting his hand. And that's kind of like the decision that I'm trying to force him to make, right? I think if I
Hmm.
clear Avalon here, that allows him to just go, all right, I'll keep a 4-card hand, and then I get to do like double Herald or awaken the Ravages and just kill you with that. And that's kind of not something that I want to do right now. So you
Right.
just arsenaled, okay?
Yeah,
Interesting.
I found a way to win that has 0 variance to it. So
Okay, that's
I'm just gonna go for it.
that is pretty solid, to be honest. Yeah. All right. Sure. I'm gonna start with this into you.
Okay, that does change things a little bit. Yeah, it means I just have to do this now, but the long run is the same.
Mhm. Okay. Oh yeah, merciful. All right. That's annoying as hell. For sure.
I think it
Uh,
doesn't really matter how I pitch for it.
no, you just won.
I suppose,
I think you just win on the spot here.
yeah,
Because
it's
if I clear the
close.
merciful, it goes to soul, and I'm dead to ravages. I take 1 damage here because the spectral pops, so I go to 3. If I clear merciful, I go to 2 because of merciful, and then you have 2 soul, which is enough to kill me with ravages. If I don't clear merciful, right?
And all the heralds are
Then whatever I hit you
unpoppable.
with still puts me to 2,
Yeah,
and I cannot pop anymore, and eventually you get a soul, and then you can kill me with ravages. So like I don't think I have an out here anymore.
I don't think so.
So yeah, okay, yeah, that's GG. I mean, we can play this out just to see how it
Yeah,
goes, but just so
there
anyone
are like
watching this can see the interactions at play. But I don't think there's any way I can win in this spot.
there are
Um,
some weird like I draw ALS plus 2 figments and
hmm.
uh,
Sure, like if you
you know
draw like a
can't block anything,
whole
whatever.
bunch of non-blocks, yeah, but you're also at
Yeah, yeah,
16 lives, so like it doesn't really matter that much.
right. Probably not.
Uh, um, I am
Yeah,
not on Spreading Plague in this list to answer that question at the moment, and I am not on Lantern in this list either at the moment. I can understand doing it, but I just feel like if you get to an end game state where you have to pitch to a single point of arcane damage every turn, I don't think you can win that game.
yeah,
Anyways,
it might not be.
like it
I think
saves you
the
for a couple
advantage
of
is
turns, but I don't think you can win that game from that point forward. So yeah.
somewhere in the mid game where
Mm-hmm.
it makes sense to clear an aura. So you
Yep.
like pitch your blue to your dagger and then you pay for the merciful.
Yeah, sure. Like you can save a couple of life points here and there maybe with it, and it's not like
Hmm.
it's not terrible. But I think I would rather have 2 daggers, not because I want to double dagger in this matchup, but because I want to be able to flick and then still have a dagger.
Yeah, I
That's
think
kind of the point, right?
basically having the 2 daggers made me play differently the whole game because
Yep.
of flick knives.
Because of flick knives, yeah,
And
yeah, for
I
sure.
think it might turn out that a Prism who knows Uzuri well enough can
Hmm.
just play around 2 daggers with flick knives, and then maybe Arcane Barrier becomes a
Yeah,
little better
maybe, yeah.
but yeah, not sure yet.
So like I don't think I have no like the point is like this feels like a stalemate because like nothing I do helps me in any way. If I attack your face, it just means I go to 2 from the spectral shield, and then whenever you get another soul, you can just like figment me, right? And then I'm just dead. I'm still gonna attack your face just because like I think it doesn't make sense. If I clear the merciful, I'm dead, right? So
So this is face.
that is face, yes. like I said, if I clear the Merciful, I just die. So that just doesn't make sense, I think, in this spot. So you're just gonna let that hit, and it clears that, sure. Oh, you're actually not clearing the Spectral, huh? That's interesting. Okay, sure.
Well, I mean, you kind of said it. Like, there's
Yeah, there's not really
the
any
way
reason
you
to.
have out of this is, I'm not sure what it is.
No, I don't think I have one, to be honest. I do not think I really have one. Okay. That's also interesting.
Because, so,
Hang on.
like, I should have in my deck some way to kill you if the only thing you do is block the rest of the game. I think that's
True.
basically the
Yep.
argument I'm making.
It's not wrong. Yep, I leave that on top. It's not the worst here. Okay, let's see. Yeah. Like, my only out right now is to stop you from ever getting a second soul. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
That is literally the only out that I have at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shakedown would be nice.
Which does not feel good, and it is actually
Surgical is also good.
Surgical is also good, yeah. They kind of do the same here, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah. That's fine. I do take one more because of the... Oh, wait, why didn't I take damage right now?
It's on the stack.
Oh, is it? Oh, the Merciful's on the stack, right? Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so you have Herald of Triumph, Herald of Erudition, Angelic Wrath. Okay, so either way I'm boned. That's kind of interesting. Huh.
Yeah, if your last card's not a D-React, you're dead.
Yep.
Well, not dead. You could overblock a Herald of Triumph, I guess.
I guess I could, yeah. I think I still have to take... Like, I don't think you can develop the Genesis here, but, like, no, you can. The problem is the Genesis just means that you can guarantee the soul, right? So I think I have to take Genesis.
Yeah.
Because
that's funny.
Genesis is kind of like the one card that gives me no way to play around it.
That is, you're right. That's indeed correct.
I need to take Genesis. I think it's the only option I have right now.
But this Erudition still mega gets you. I mean,
Erudition is still very, very scary, for sure.
Like, you have to have the D-React, which means, like...
Yeah, I can't pop it because I'm Merciful, right? Yeah.
Right. So,
then I think that just
doesn't matter much.
Yeah. Yep. I can pop it, but it goes to soul either way, so, yeah. And I can't overblock it because of Dominate, and I don't have the D-React, so, yeah, I think I'm just dead here. Yep. I take one, and now you can just awaken Ravages.
Next turn I can
not in this turn, but, like, you have the 2 souls, so at this point it's deterministic, right?
Yeah. Well, unless I die, so there's that.
Die. That's true, but yeah, you're at 13, so it's kind of like not that likely to happen, you know?
Right. I also, hilariously, I could attack with a Herald and the Courage would kill you.
You know what I'm gonna do? Is I'm gonna graciously kill myself by playing this.
I think that works out too.
Because right now you don't have to do anything and I'm dead.
Right.
You just take 2 and then you die.
And then I die.
Actually, you know what? Let's cut this short. Let's just go for this.
Go right into the Merciful.
Yeah.
How graceful.
Let's just do that.
On your own terms.
Yeah, I'm just going out on my own turns. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, like as you can see, there were definitely a bunch of misplays in there. I should definitely have prioritized the what's it called? Pierce Reality.
Pierce Reality, yeah.
Because that just got so much value from you, and it just made it so hard for me to actually block your heralds. So that's definitely not something that I can let stick around. I think running Time Skippers was correct. I also think not running AB is correct, in my opinion. Unless I manage to... Like, I don't think there's any slot where AB actually makes a difference for me, or where I'm not giving up something that's better, right? Like Tunic is better in my opinion. Balance is better, Flick Knives is better, Time Skippers is better, and I think a second dagger for Flick Knives is also better. So the only way I could see this is if you were playing Vambrace, and then you can run Lantern and a single dagger. I think that is fine.
Mm.
That is something you could do. I'm not sure if Vambrace is good in this matchup. I would be
think
willing to test it out, but I just don't think with the number of blues I run that Vambrace is better than Flick Knives.
I think it might just be worse than Flick Knives.
Yeah.
Because Flick Knives is the same. Like you still get one less prevention from your Prism opponent with Flick Knives in a way.
Yeah.
Like it kills a Spectral. That's the same thing Vambrace would do.
Yeah.
But then Flick Knives has the upside of sometimes you just kill an Angel.
Yeah. Sometimes they don't have a Spectral, right? And then
yeah.
You can
which
do
is interesting because like this game I made 3 Spectrals.
Mm-hmm.
The one from Figment of Protection entering and the one from the Angel attacking.
Yeah.
And they brickwalled your Flick Knives for the whole match.
Yeah, like actually a single Spectral, or I mean, I think a single one doesn't do that much, but as soon as you get 2, it gets really oppressive. Like it just kind of invalidates Flick Knives if you have 2 Spectrals and you can protect those.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually kind of relevant, yeah. So I don't know, like... But the thing is, like, I think Vambrace doesn't change that equation. Because Vambrace only does something when you're willing to let the Spectrals go. And you're not willing to do that. You're just happy blocking whatever I throw at you to protect those Spectral shields. And in that situation, Vambrace doesn't do anything. Same as Flick Knives, right? So I think in that regard, it doesn't do a whole lot, right? I don't know.
So I think we'd be well served by Shred in those scenarios.
Could be, yeah.
Right, because then you're like at reaction speed. Yes, you're using a whole card instead of Vambrace. Maybe you have the 1 resource loading, but that's the real trick that would blow up more ward than the Prism expects.
Yeah, it's like attack reactions for sure.
Yeah. The thing is, we've got to build the deck in such a way that you don't clunk up your attack reactions when you don't need them.
It's rough simply because because if I draw the shreds in the early game, they kind of don't matter because you're just happy not blocking in the early game, right? So I would need to draw them in the mid game when I have tempo and you start blocking. That's basically where I want the shred. So like the ideal curve of distribution is you want to see your extenders early and then your reactions in the middle of the game. And then you have like I think a decent chance at winning this matchup.
I think that makes sense. So maybe we need to, like, I know it sounds weird, but I think cutting poppers is probably gonna work out for you.
Like the poppers don't do much. This is definitely not a matchup where I would run extra poppers just to bring them, unless they were like 7 power, right? Like if I had access to something like Finals Fighting Spirit, this is a matchup obviously where I would bring it. And if I had like, but I would never, for example, run Down and Dirty in this matchup, because that just feels terrible and doesn't do anything. Let's see, I think I want to play another game without changing the list. Or maybe we try one where I sub out something. So what I did feel like Amnesia was completely irrelevant in this matchup. And I don't know if that was just due to the way the cards lined up or if it's just something that you can sort of play around when you see it. Like, how do you feel as the Prism about Amnesia? Like, it's obviously annoying, but is it something where you just go, right, I can just block 6 and just not care about it?
So if I'm correct about the Amnesia text, it means my Luminaris doesn't work, but my Prism still works.
They both don't work.
Oh, because Prism looks for a card with Herald in its name. Okay, that's right.
A card with Herald in its name, yeah.
Yeah.
You still get Go Again on Angels, because Angel is not a name, it's a subtype, and that doesn't get shut down by Amnesia. Also doesn't get shut down by Erase Face, by the way, so if anyone's thinking about that. that doesn't matter. Like you cannot turn off angels because they're a subtype, kind of like dragons, right? Actually, exactly the same as dragons, so that wouldn't change anything. But you do shut off heralds, so any effect that cares about heralds, which is basically Luminaris, Prism's hero ability, and also Angelic Wrath, and also I think Reprimand would also only works on cards that are blocking heralds. So you shut off all of the instant speed combat tricks, and you shut off the go again, and you shut off the tutor with Amnesia.
Right. So my analysis would be then that shutting off the tutor can be good, but ideally you don't want Prism hitting with heralds anyway.
Yeah.
And actually, if you go a little deeper into that, the bottleneck on Prism's ceiling is actually just how many cards are in her soul.
Mm-hmm.
Which means if Amnesia somehow stopped soul generation, it would be amazing. But it doesn't. So it's probably just like middle ground popper, not the best. Probably a 7-power popper is better.
Like, genuinely, yeah. I could see that, because it feels like Amnesia at face value would be great against Prism. But the problem is, it, like you said, it just kinda isn't. Because, I mean, what happens if they get hit with an Amnesia, right? And they don't get the go again? Like, either they go, okay, I'm just gonna start the turn with an Angel, because that still gets go again if I have one. Or maybe I just go setup instead, or I block a little bit, and then I just send the Herald at you, even if you manage to connect with the Amnesia, and I just arsenal a card or something. So I just think Prism has too many outs, and her main game plan isn't completely blown out by getting hit with Amnesia. I think
Right.
that kind of makes sense, yeah.
I think so. What it might do is, let's say your Prism opponent wants to full loop, and that's their only game plan.
Yeah.
You know, they don't know how to navigate a match that went like this one did.
Yeah.
For instance.
Yeah.
Then Amnesia, what it's done is it basically buys you a turn where they can't do the full ALS combo, and maybe find a piece that disrupts it, like CNC blowing up Arsenal.
Yeah.
So that could be good enough, maybe.
I mean, I guess, yeah, because like even if they send a Herald to Soul with Genesis, it still doesn't work. So they still don't get the.
Yeah,
like, I mean,
well, they can't tutor at all.
They can't tutor at all if they send it
Right.
with Genesis, right? Because it's start of turn, it's outside of an action phase. So I don't think
I
don't think the loop is actually impacted by Amnesia in any way, right?
No, it is, because usually the Prism won't have Soraya on the board already. Sorry, the unflipped Soraya Figment.
Yeah.
And the Halo tutors for it.
Oh right,
and that's
yeah,
how
you are stopping Halo. That's true, but like
yeah.
I mean, if push
but
comes to
if
shove,
she has
you could do that.
Else,
you could do that in reaction speed to on the opponent's
if she has all the Figments already, you know, 3 soul or more, then yeah, Amnesia doesn't stop a loop.
Yeah, it's kind of rough. Right, I'm gonna have to take a quick bathroom break. I'll be back in about 2 to 3 minutes if that's fine with you.
Yep, yeah.
And actually, hang on a second. All right. Okay. Okay, be right back. All right, and we're back.
We are back.
I am back. All right, so let's see. Maybe instead of going here directly, I'll try switching out the Amnesias for Raging Onslaught and just see if that feels better.
Okay, sure.
Let's just go with that. Because I think I agree with your reasoning that it doesn't do as much against Prism as you'd think it would. And I think if you want to bring in a 7 power popper, Raging Onslaught is probably the best one. Just because you are going to be up in life for the majority of the game. So I think Final's Fighting Spirit doesn't really do much. I don't know, like, what do you think? What's the better one? If we're thinking like purely about the Prism matchup here.
I think there will be more times that the 3-block is better than the 2-block against Prism specifically.
Yeah.
Like, worst case, you have to put it in front of an angel. It works there. Like, you're never going to be lower life. If you are, you're already dead.
Yeah, exactly. That's good. That was kind of my thinking. Like, even if sometimes they bring like reprimand, right? And then you can do like 3-block and then de-react, or they might have like a passing mirage out or something, and then you can't pop anyways, and the 3-block is better. So I think it's just overall the more relevant card in this particular scenario. Yeah. All right, and then let's go with this, and I'll just send you the link. There we go.
Would you like me to keep the same sideboard or go for something else?
I mean, if you want to try out stuff, sure, go for it. Like, whatever you think is like the optimal plan into Uzuri, right?
I think actually the only thing I would try out is playing more cards than 60, but I'm not sure that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
This game felt clean enough that
like, I mean,
I'm probably close to what I need to be doing.
Like 24 at the end or something, so you still had like a healthy deck size. I don't think this is a matchup that revolves around fatigue, honestly, unless the Prism, the Uzuri is on a really like extremely fatigue heavy build.
So actually my reasoning wouldn't be for fatigue. It would be to smooth out some of the draws that have a lot of no blocks in it.
Okay.
Just put in more
sense,
defensive number.
Okay, so let's see. I do think we bring in the full shreds now. We do bring in the de-react still, and then what am I cutting to make space for that? I still think I want the maximum number of poppers that I can bring in general.
Well, maybe. It depends on what would go in their place. Like,
that's true.
So you were kind of bottlenecked on resources that game.
True, yeah.
So if you had ways to smooth out your draws,
I could take out Already Dead, I guess. Just because it's really, I mean, there's actually a decent chance that it makes silver if it connects. Simply because you run so many non-action cards in the deck. Like, I think about a quarter or so.
Yeah. So I'm looking at your cards here. I think if you try to maximize cut to the chase, you know, talking about this overwhelming Prism's defense, make her lose more ward than she thought she was going to lose. Maybe that's good enough. And maybe that makes Already Dead okay.
The thing is, like, I don't really know what to cut, because I definitely need the blues. I feel like I could maybe cut Plunder the Poor, but that also doesn't really play well with the idea of maximizing cut to the chase, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, I think looking at the cards here, because cut to the chase is kind of an extender, I think you would remove other extenders. in order to fit it.
Yeah, makes
And
sense.
so I'm looking at like Come to Fight
Give and
and
take.
Codex of Bloodrot, I guess, or
Oh,
Give and Take.
Codex.
Yeah,
I
more
mean,
likely.
Codex of
Hmm.
Bloodrot is also like a resource card, so that's not, I think,
Yeah.
not terrible to have. And
So Give
also,
and
it
Take
can
and
be
Come
like
to Fight.
really awkward for Prism to deal with the Bloodrot, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. The other option is actually cutting D-reacts, um, even though that doesn't feel great. But I feel like in a lot of situations, the D-reacts don't do a whole lot unless I manage to clean block like a 7 power. And you have like 6 of those, right? Um,
Um, I only have the 3 red Herald of Triumph.
oh, you don't even run red war tunes. Okay.
Yeah, which you wouldn't know before
Yeah.
sideboarding. Um, but I think most prisms are gonna not play the red war tunes.
Okay. It's interesting. Like
Um,
I would think that, but I wouldn't expect more than 6 7 power heralds. Let's put it that way. Definitely. I don't think
yeah,
I would
yeah. So,
expect
so
anything past like Triumph and War Tune.
I think you can consider the D-reacts like bad 7 power poppers
Mm-hmm.
because they're doing the same thing. They're stopping that red
Red Triumph,
or
yeah.
or yellow Triumph from hitting,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
they're doing it efficiently. Uh, so like
I could.
let's pretend they are 7 power poppers.
Mm-hmm.
How many would you actually want in the deck? Probably no more than 6, right?
Yeah, like that.
Because
I
then you'd
mean,
be clunky as heck.
yeah, considering they don't really do anything else but pop, yeah, definitely not. Like
Yeah,
if I had access to like a 3-cost 7 power assassin attack, that's a different story, but
different story.
we don't have that at the moment, so
Right, right. So if you
yeah.
wouldn't play more than 6 good 7 power poppers, why would you
Hmm.
play 9 bad ones?
Yeah, that makes
Or 3 good
sense.
ones and 6 bad? So maybe
That
Fate
makes
Foreseen.
sense. Yeah, I could see cutting Fate, and then maybe cutting like a give and take, just because I feel like that's one of the least impactful cards in this
Yeah,
matchup.
I really don't like the 1 for 3s at all. I
Mm,
think they're just their best mode is almost always blocking.
hmm. Like the question is, I mean, I don't disagree in general, like for this particular matchup, but I think they're still better than like something that doesn't extend my turn. You know what I mean? It's kind of like work with what you have, even though it's not
Sure.
amazing, I
Yeah,
suppose. So the question is, do we cut like give and take or come to fight, right?
I think Come to Fight because Come to
Mm-hmm.
Fight has ALS blowout
Right. Yeah.
potential for Prism.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, give and take does too, but like it's come to fight is a little more specific in that it requires you to have another card as a follow up, and give and take you can just play out, even though it's probably not great, right? If
Yeah,
it's the only thing you're doing. Okay, yeah, let's try this. That works. Let's just see if that does anything. Okay. So I am not necessarily hating this, I think. But I'm also not sure if that's something that I want to keep. I think this is one of those hands where I'm potentially fine with you maybe getting a little bit of setup. Just because I can pressure your life a whole bunch. Yeah, let's go for that. I'm fine with that.
that is pretty scary.
Hmm.
Yep, I'll take 6. Pretty good. Shred MVP, just an
Hmm.
amazing card.
It is good.
Don't know why people don't like playing it.
Yeah. I mean, you do have the instant aura, right? Which is like a fairly decent chance of you. You run like, what, 6 of those? I'm not counting
Uh,
ALS because I don't think you would
that's
play
right.
ALS on your turn 0. That just doesn't make sense.
If
But
I
you
had 2
have,
blues, I would probably play it.
yeah, that's fair. I mean, you have like Genesis and Merciful, right? And
Yep.
yeah, I think Merciful is definitely the one here that I am less hating. Like Genesis would be more scary in this situation. So this is like I traded basically the possibility that this would happen for the fact that you get to start the game down 6 life, which I think is pretty
Yeah,
decent.
I think it's decent.
Yeah, even though
It'll
it.
come down to whether basically if this merciful translates into I start winning pretty hard, then the life didn't matter. So
True.
we will
Yeah.
find out.
Yep.
We will find out.
That is definitely true. Yeah.
I couldn't convert meaningfully with a herald, so I'm
Okay.
just gonna play this Genesis and pass.
That's also annoying because now I'm like in the situation: which one do I clear first, right? And
Indeed.
that is also annoying because like Genesis is generally one that you never want to let stick around. Because like if I kill Merciful here, you get a soul, and then you get another soul from the Genesis, and you also turn your Vestige on. And if I clear Genesis, you get a soul, and then you don't get to turn Vestige on. So I think clearing Genesis here is the correct play. Even though that means my turn does borderline nothing, but yeah.
It really, so I think it depends on how much guaranteed soul value Prism can generate from the Merciful.
Yeah.
If they go straight away, play a Herald, then I agree. Clearing Genesis is better. And given that I didn't do that last turn, I think you can assume that I'm going to have a Herald play.
Yeah, exactly. So the chance of you drawing 2 hands in a row that don't play heralds is like really low. So
yeah.
I think what I'm gonna do is I am going to attack your face.
On the other hand, Merciful does have arcane pings, so it might be useful to get that out of the way immediately in terms of just raw value.
Yeah, that's true. But like,
and
yeah.
So what's interesting is like if you ask this question to other Prism players, they might have like a really polarized opinion on the Genesis or the Merciful. So that'll be, you know, if anyone watches this and comments, we can tally what people think.
Yeah, this is interesting. Like, definitely, if you're still watching, let us know what you think is the better target here, because I'm really like not 100% sure. I think so. Like, my gut instinct would be go for Genesis. Which might be incorrect, but yeah, let's see. I'm definitely gonna attack your face again with this dagger. You are still not blocking this, which makes perfect sense, but
yeah.
So normally you would layer them the other way around, right? You start with Graven Call and then you attack with Spider's Bite. Because right now I'm telegraphing I'm not going to attack your face, basically. But I think given the fact that you have like 2 auras out, that's kind of a given. So I'm gonna go with the Genesis here. And
I think it is kind of a given.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because this way I do get a blue stealth card into the graveyard.
Oh yeah, nice.
By just attacking with the infect, and that way I get a little bit of setup for any looking for a scrap that I might draw in the future. So it's not terrible.
Right. I've got one of the heralds you'd rather not be attacking with.
Sure.
It still has the Merciful behind, so I'm not super upset.
It's not horrible for sure. Yeah. It's like, I mean, I can block this out here, but the problem is you most likely have a follow-up. So I don't know. I think my play right now is probably to just do cleanup duty.
I think so.
So I will try to prevent soul gain as much as possible, but I might not be able to completely do that. I'm still going to do this and then just see what you do.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay, you play a passing, that's fair. So these two kind of do the same thing, but Merciful is a lot more annoying because it also means your poppers go, your popped attacks go to soul, and then passing just means okay, I can't pop, right? Which is annoying, but it's like not the end of the world, I would say. So again, I think in this case, I just have to do this. Codex of Frailty 2 in the same hand on turn 3, also not great. Definitely not
pretty
great.
Unlucky.
That is definitely not good, but yeah, you know, it happens sometimes. All right, okay.
So far, I would say the CNC life trade was in my favor.
Yep, I think I agree, yeah. Because, like, I mean, you lost 6, but other than that, you haven't really lost anything, and you've completely put me on the back foot because I've been having to do, like, cleanup duty here, which does not feel good, so, yeah.
I do think it makes sense to just make me have it, though, on the first turn.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is also annoying. Let's see, what can I do here? Okay. Yeah, because like you run 6 auras that are like relevant for you to set up on turn 0, right? So that's like 6 cards in 60 is 1 in 10, and then you draw 4 cards, so it's like a less than 50-50 chance that you have one of them in hand. So I think it's fine to gamble on that in that situation. So yeah, I think I have to block with the balance here. And if you have the Wrath, I just get blown out. And there's not much I can do about that. I will block with... I think this. Yep.
Yep. Unfortunately, my turn is just to pass.
Okay, I like to hear that.
Yeah, indeed.
And then I get to do this, I think. Yeah. Yep. I think this is one turn where I can afford to let the passing sit around. Because I need to start pressuring you a little bit.
Yeah, and this is super frustrating for me because I was forced to put a soul shield in my arsenal.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now I don't have a clean way to block this, so we are yet again getting blown out by naked CNC.
I do think it's the absolute correct play in this scenario, unless you can perfectly track the soul shields. I think in this matchup you should play naked CNC every time, even if you have the stealth card.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like just the correct thing to do. And then we do this and we arsenal that. Okay, there we go. Okay, you play out another Merciful, also annoying, and another passing. Okay, I think this is the point where you just go, okay, I guess I'm not popping the first attack in this match ever again. And
maybe,
you just
maybe.
leave it at that, honestly, because you can't clear 3 auras. That's just not a thing that will happen.
It's asking for a lot, I agree.
So I think what I'm gonna do here is I definitely have to clear the Merciful, which is annoying. But I think I can also do some other stuff. So I can do this.
That's pretty good.
Which is like, I mean, it doesn't convert cleanly because I already have an arsenal and I can't clear that, but it's okay in that scenario. And then I will do this.
Also pretty good.
Go again. So this is kind of fine. Like, I mean, I'm not really pressuring your hand, but I am pressuring your life totals. So I'm like threatening 7 damage and also clearing an aura. This is kind of what you want to do on your like aura clear turns, right? And then I use this and I just clear the Merciful.
Yep, and I'll play the third one in response.
Okay, sure, that's fine.
Yeah, this is going great for you. Like I've seen 13 cards and one of them has been a Herald.
Yeah.
And your life total is sitting pretty, and it's like, I have some permanents, but I'm at 13.
Yep.
Oops. Sure. It's my arsenal card.
Yep. Okay, so I know that's there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So again, I think I need to clear the Merciful, just because I don't want to let that sit around. And my hand doesn't do a whole lot here. A blue would be great on this hand, to be honest, but I don't have one, so yeah. I think what I'm gonna do is I send this at your face.
Pretty good.
It's just an extender, but you're getting to the point where 3 damage actually hurts.
I am.
And then I think I do this to clear the Merciful again.
Mm-hmm.
So there's actually a consideration to let the Merciful stick in this board state, because I can't pop anyways, right? So like the popping part of it is a little bit less relevant.
I think if you send face, I'm in actually a sticky spot.
Yeah, maybe sending face would have been the better choice here.
I think if you had just gone face for the rest of the game,
yeah,
you might get there.
Should we try that just to see how it works, or let's play like this, just to see what happens from here on.
Okay.
Because if that was like the critical pivot misplay that I just made, and that allows you to stabilize now, it's interesting to see that.
Yeah. Here, I think I'm forced to...
Halo, yeah.
Yeah. And we'll just play it out and see what happens. Do I want... I don't think I'm going to be double heralding, so let's do... Oh, get the... Add your Figment of Erudition. I think the game just ends.
All right.
Okay, yeah. That's probably just game. Pretty hilarious. I mean, I'll play it out, but
okay. Sure, yeah.
I don't really know what my outs are at this point.
So to answer the question about the Time Skipper, so I think Time Skippers is one of those cards that basically just forces the Prism to play different. And it insulates you to some extent against getting ALS looped. I think that's what it does. Whether that's worth the slot or not depends on how many prisms you expect to see. I think you kind of need it, because if you get ALS looped, you just kind of lose on the spot unless you're really far ahead in life. And cards, right? But I think for the most part, it's not really something you can ignore. Because a good Prism, if you're not on Time Skippers, will see that you're not on Time Skippers and then just play to an ALS loop. Unless they don't play Vestige into you, which I think is a mistake.
Okay. So I'm going for... Again, I drew the Figment of...
the Figment, yeah, all right.
Yeah, I have to play it out. I put a Herald of Erudition on top with this Figment of Rebirth, so... Basically, my gambit is, can I hit with this Herald of Erudition to try to stay in the game?
Sure. I mean, it's not about hitting, right? Like, it's an attack trigger, so you get the cards anyways.
No, the Herald of Erudition. Can I hit with that to try to stay in the game?
I'm definitely gonna pop the balance here, just because why would I not? Because this is likely the only big turn that you get, seeing that the life totals are where they are.
Yep.
And actually, this is actually interesting. This does not trigger Passing Mirage because the angels are not illusionist attacks.
That is correct.
It's actually kind of interesting. So again, I'm not blocking this because I'm at 34. And the angels don't threaten any on-hits. Anything they do is like attack triggers, so you're not really needing to let it go. So this one does not have Phantasm because of the double passing, but critically I do have the...
yeah. If you got the D-React, the game just ends on the spot.
D-React here, yeah. I'm just kind of figuring out what my turn does otherwise. I think
the game actually ended when I drew the Soraya, but this is just salt in the wound.
On the top, basically, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's fair.
That's like, I don't know. I guess as Prism players, this is one of the things to know. Sometimes the deck can just you draw the card on Halo and you lose, and that's that.
That's true, yeah. It sometimes happens.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I will do. I mean, you run like what,
Um,
seven figments, I think.
6 in this matchup.
Ah, okay, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna concede. There's no
Okay.
point in playing this out.
All right, that's fair. Yeah. So yeah, like I think it's a matchup that is like partially just kind of decided by variance, and I do think
Well,
that Prism is to some extent a high variance deck or higher variance than maybe some other decks. I think it's definitely higher variance than like Dromai was, for example. Um,
I think it's high variance in the sense that both decks kind of just have to play the hands that they see, and there's not
yeah,
a whole lot of not a
setting
whole
up
lot of
stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
like this game I had 0 decision points.
yeah,
I
yeah, that's
every
true.
single play I made was forced. And
Yeah.
it's possible that yours were similar.
I mean, for me, like, it
Uh,
just kind of worked because I did see some early extenders, and then the game just gets a lot easier
mhm.
for me if I'm able to, like,
Yeah,
clear the board state and still pressure your life total. It's a very different game compared to having to choose between one of the two, right?
right.
In the first game that we played, I was basically forced to choose between doing either of those things, and I chose
Yeah.
to pressure your life totals, and that turned out to be the wrong decision, right? But if I draw some early extenders, and it wasn't that many actually. I had the Codex of Bloodrot, I had like one E strike, and now I saw one of the looking for scraps. But that's kind of like, and then maybe the give and take, right? If you count that, but
Yeah.
so I didn't
So,
have a ton of extenders, but like the turn also the game didn't go very long, right? So I think that's kind of
well,
what makes or breaks it really for the Zoo.
I think this match was just not good data, period.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that.
Because like I again, all my plays are forced. I had
Yeah,
no
yeah, yeah.
choices, and then finally the turn where it looked like my forced decision was gonna pay off,
Hmm.
I drew the like a 1 in 43
Yeah,
and lost on the spot. So
that's true.
so I think we shouldn't take too much out of this,
Yep.
except that almost any deck would have beaten Prism given this
Yeah,
Prism draw.
that's
Like
true.
any
That's
warrior beats this deck, even though they have
yeah,
0 poppers or
yeah,
maybe just
yeah,
like
yeah.
3 or 6. Like
That's probably
they
true.
beat this draw. Any ninja beats it. We wouldn't
Yeah.
be on Vestige in the ninja, but you get the
Yeah,
idea.
yeah. No, that's a fair point. Yeah, like maybe with
So should
Guardian you don't have the way to put out enough pressure, and then but yeah,
should we try to get one high quality one last one here?
sure, yeah, let's go. Let's just go full rematch,
Yeah.
and then let's see if the third game changes things.
So for science, I'll try going first.
Yep, sure. First time we've seen that happen. I'm also honestly thinking about maybe switching my daggers to Nerf Scalpel instead of Graven Call, just because I think me actually getting silver in this matchup is so unlikely to happen. I don't know. Um,
Yeah, I think I agree. I don't.
yeah,
The Graven is kind of whatever.
yeah, because like, and then maybe like the Nerf Scalpel, I can catch out a Soul Shield at some point, and it's actually going to be relevant. So I think that might be the correct play to just go with Nerf Scalpel. Let's try that out. And then otherwise we go with the same matchup that we had before. So we cut one of the counterfights, and then apart from that, we just leave it that. Yeah, yeah. I kind of also like the Plunder the Pores just because it's a zero cost attack, right? Even though it
Yeah.
doesn't really do anything, but just the ability to say, okay, I can one card clear an aura, one card
Yeah.
clear an angel actually because it comes in for 4, right? I think
Pairs nice with the
that's
time skipper.
yeah, exactly. I think that's just kind of relevant. Yeah. Okay, sure. Let's go.
Okay, so I get to set up a first turn Genesis, which I think is worth it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because then I'm kind of forced to clear it, and if you draw another aura, you can use that to kind of snowball a bunch. Yep, I agree. Because that's definitely a card I cannot afford to let stick around. Let's see, how do I do this? I mean, I'm definitely starting with attacking your face with the few things that I can. Again, Codex of Frailty in the opening hand, not where you want it.
I think I'll let this one go.
Sure. And then I'm doing the same thing I did last game. I'm using a blue stealth card to attack your aura.
Yep.
Yeah, I 100% agree, Ryan. Like, Time Skippers is going to depend on how many prisms you expect, if it's worth the slot or not. And yeah, I'm on Raging Onslaught to like I think in the one game we sort of saw that Amnesia doesn't actually do a whole lot into Prism, so I'm just trying out Raging Onslaught over Amnesia to see if it does anything. That's the whole idea here. Okay, so you just set up another aura and then just do nothing again. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, basically just ask you the question of what are you gonna do with your tempo?
Yeah, nothing. That's kind of the point. Like, I still need to clear this. That's the problem, right? So
I
yeah.
think is my Talishar bugging? Do you have no graveyard?
I do have no graveyard. Yeah, that's definitely wrong. Okay, maybe we need to reset that and not do a rematch because I do not have a graveyard right now. Yeah, that's true. That should definitely not be the case.
I would like to at least play the next couple turns out because I've gone for a line that I definitely could have taken a different option for.
Yep. Yeah, let's just play it out. But yeah, I don't have a graveyard. That's definitely wrong because there should be a backstab in there.
Yeah.
And that feels kind of weird. But okay, whatever. I think I'm going to just try to clear this hand as efficiently as I can. So I'm starting by daggering you. Again, 2 Codex of Frailty by turn 3. It just hates me in this matchup apparently, for whatever reason. And then we dagger the Merciful.
Okay.
Yeah, kinda. Like, I mean, I think we knew going in that the Illusionist matchup was not gonna be a fun one, you know? Whether it's Dromai or Prism, so I don't think that really changes anything, but yeah. Let's see.
So I'm gonna try the like this is what a Prism will do at your ProQuest if they're not very well practiced. They're gonna go for the loop as soon as they see it.
Okay, sure.
So not loop per se, but the ALS type of stuff. So I'm gonna try it, see what happens.
Sure.
Okay, I've drawn pretty decently.
I mean, this is also kind of annoying because I'm like losing value on the balance here unless I get to block with it now.
Yeah, which you will do on this angel.
Which I will do, yeah. The question is, do I block this angel or do I wait for the inevitable herald to follow it up, right? The question is if you have the ALS here. I mean, I can assume you have the ALS at the end of this kind of turn.
Yeah,
but
you
I
can.
also think you will send another herald at me, and then I think, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm blocking just here. I don't know. Because if you have an erudition here, I get punished for blocking with balance on this angel, so I think I'm just playing around that. And if I'm wasting 2 block, okay, then I'm wasting 2 block, you know.
Right.
I think not playing around the erudition is like the dumber thing to do here, really. Okay, you just straight up play the ALS, okay. And a Merciful, alright, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Not totally sure how I should be approaching this. Like, basically, I have a play where I can send a Herald of Triumph,
Mm-hmm.
but you've had, 3 turn cycles to find a 7 power,
Mm-hmm.
which means like if I'm sending the Herald, then I never play this Merciful, and if I get popped, I'm like really sad.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna try this a more conservative line.
Mm-hmm.
Question is, what am I pitching here?
Sure.
What do I want to see? I think I want to see like exactly Erudition, so I'm gonna pitch like this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. Okay, so yeah, now I have the Arclight Sentinel here. The thing is, like, I'm actually not in danger of getting looped here, because you
Yeah.
just use the Halo, and the Arclight Sentinel goes to Soul if I clear this, so it's not even in your graveyard. So
Yep.
I'm not.
So
I'm not
once
even.
again,
Yeah.
I think the loop is not something that you're usually going for because it
Mm-hmm.
takes so many pieces to set up.
Mm-hmm.
And basically your Halo turn should be such a value positive play that it doesn't matter that you're not looping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah. So I think I'm still using time skippers here just to keep some tempo. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I'm gonna use time skippers, even though that puts me in danger of getting looped later. But I think in this case it's actually kind of worth it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to yeah, that works. I'm going to use this to clear the ALS. And then I'm gonna let the Merciful stick around and attack you with this.
Attack me with this. Interesting.
Yep.
So I could choose to play around Shred. If I have a way to deny Flick Knives. Do I have a way to do that?
The thing is, you already popped the Halo, so I don't think you do. That's kind of the point. Like, that's the only reason I'm doing this. If you had a single Spectral, I wouldn't be making this play, right? But
yeah. Okay. I think my line is to say, if you have the Shred, I'm very sad. Oh wait, this doesn't do exactly what I want it to. Hold on.
If I have cut, you're also very sad, because then even your footsteps also go if you block like this.
Yeah. I think I'm supposed to let you have my arsenal. And this is why you don't just snap off your Halo turn. I wanted to do it for the uninitiated, but this is like perfect example
of why you shouldn't do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
you just need to find the right spot.
Generally, the later you do it, the more threatening it is. Just like
generally,
any equipment usage, I think. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's so yucky. Everything is so yucky. Yeah. Wow. It's like such a bad spot. My hand is almost good enough, but not really.
Okay, yeah, Cataclysm doesn't do a whole lot here.
I'm just going to take the horrible middle ground, I think.
Blocking 3 and then still losing your arsenal, you mean?
Pretty much.
Yeah, okay. That doesn't feel great. Yeah.
Nope.
I mean, I have to flick here, right, to get rid of the angel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is still a pretty decent play.
Wow, and you got a Figment?
I got
That's
a
pretty good.
Figment. Oh, and Angelic Wrath. Okay, that's actually pretty good, yeah. Obviously
Yeah.
no silver, but I'm not expecting this card to make silver in this matchup, like, ever, basically.
Right. Right.
So, yeah.
All right. Popper, please. And let's move on. See if I can win from
So,
quite a horrible spot.
the thing is, like, I'm not actually sure I want to pop here. Because that gives you soul and a Figment trigger, yada yada, you know?
Yeah, indeed.
So there's actually consideration to just block this out, I guess. And then maybe clean Merciful, but that also just feels kind of like not amazing. The problem is you're at 29, right? So I can't afford to just go full face at this point because you're too high up. So that doesn't really work. So I think I'm fine just kind of blocking this. It's a little bit awkward.
Yeah, I guess this is kind of the part of the gambit. Part of the gambit that I made going for this early Halo play is I do have full tempo and lots of life. So
yep. That's true.
Like if I'm decent, I should be able to engineer something.
That's definitely true. And you do still have, like, the problem is you still have the eruditions, and I kind of really want to keep the balance up for that.
Yeah, you have
to.
Like
that's kind of the best use for it. So yeah, I think I'm afraid I have to pop this because it's like really just the way my hand plays out right now is just I kind of have to pop that one.
Yeah, makes sense.
Feels bad, and it especially feels bad because I have to give you this for it.
Did you actually have it on my good turn?
Yeah, I did. I've been holding on to that one for like 3 turns now, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I've been making I've been cheating a little bit because I knew we put it in, but so it goes. What do I grab? I think I need protection to win this game, so let's go with this one.
Okay. All right, and we start with this.
Would you have thought I wouldn't block?
Pretty sure, yes.
Pretty sure.
Oh wait, no, I don't want to go to end the turn,
wrong.
of course. Don't want to end the turn here. Okay, so I think I still need to clear the Merciful just because it says, like, I can't really pop because it gives you too much value. It's kind of the question, like, what do I do here? Or do I threaten your face right now and let the Merciful sit around? I don't know, it just gives you so much value. I hate Merciful.
I think it's probably right to just eat your vegetables.
Yeah.
Kill the Merciful. I mean, it depends. Like, if you're holding 9 damage, then maybe it's right to go face.
I'm not. That's the problem.
Okay.
I'm holding like 6.
Yeah.
And they would be annoying, but I think I still have to clear this. It's just the way it goes, yeah. Not really anything I can do about that. I think this is just a matchup where you have to accept that you're gonna play inefficient sometimes, and then that's just what happens, probably. You know. It's like not much you can do about that.
Yep.
Okay, War Tune for 5. Not hating that. Question is, do I want to pop that? The problem with War Tune is that if you have the yellow, you can just use Footsteps, and then it's just gone, you know. But I think it's still correct to pop this. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Just because it's a 1-card block, right? Even though you still get to send a second Herald, but you know, or you set up that also works.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting like what to go for in this spot
For sure.
is pretty tricky. Like I IP won myself by going for this instead of the second herald. But if you have the second popper, then I'm kind of IP2ing myself, which feels bad. So I like this just slightly more developed passing.
It's definitely annoying, that's for sure. Yeah, what do I do here?
Because there's a chance that this passing actually makes you IP as well, which,
True.
you know, if I IP you more than IP1,
yep,
or equal to or more than IP1, then the two plays are equivalent.
Yeah, that's true.
Or equal to is equivalent, more than IP1 is I'm winning. So
that is definitely true, yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking. I think there's a bunch of things I can do here, and none of them seem great. I think probably the correct one is just go with this. Maybe? Yeah. I think that's the cleaner play.
So, given it seems likely you're going to want to hit the passing, what type of play do I want as a follow-up? It's also possible you go face. I don't know. I think putting one block on the bite is, or a card to block it is just always so bad. It gives you too many options, right?
True.
Gives you way too many options.
Yep.
Oh my god. You have sniped 3 soul shields in 3 games. It's unbelievable.
Oh, okay. You had the soul shield again. All right.
Yeah, like...
Oof. All right.
That's rough. How does this keep happening?
Yeah. How do I keep drawing Codex of Frailty in the first 2 hands? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're just kind of cursed.
Maybe I'm just not supposed to arsenal with soul shield.
Maybe.
This could be enough data to tell me it's a skill issue. I'm doing it wrong.
I think like if you're up against a red line Uzuri, it makes a lot more sense because they're going to do a lot more stealth into swap plays, and then my list just kind of doesn't do that a whole lot.
Yeah,
because I don't run that many of them. But yeah, I don't know.
All right. Yeah, I think I'm not a good enough player yet to see these lines. Basically, I should. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna learn.
All right. So what do we do here? I still think if you have the popper, you just use.
Well,
wait, hang on. I actually can't.
Yeah.
Wait.
Right. You left the passing alive.
I left the passing alive. Yeah. So that actually makes it a little bit different. Let's see. So I kind of, it's interesting.
The thing is about these CNCs is with the number of heralds I'm playing in this matchup, I actually just can only arsenal a herald if I'm trying to play around CNC. And then that only works if I'm holding enough block through a spider's bite.
Yep.
So I need to draw 4 heralds in a hand that CNC comes in. So actually the best things are just instant auras. That's it. That's all I should arsenal.
Auras and I think it's still fine to arsenal Soul Shield, right? Just don't sit on it. Obviously you haven't, right? It just kind of lined up that way, but
just lined up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you just arsenal it and then use it basically the first chance you get, I think it's okay.
Right.
Yeah. So how do I block this? This is kind of so annoying that I can't pop it. Honestly. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm fine with just double blocking this then, I guess. What's happening here? The other card is gone, but it's not adding block value. Okay, wait, undo block.
Just some lag, probably.
Yeah, I
Get a
think.
refresh.
Ah, yeah, there we go. Okay, hang on. Okay, now we
Oh,
block
now
like this, and we block like this, and we're good to go.
mine is now. Oh, there we go. I'm back.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
Okay.
Ah, you have the Wrath. Okay, that's slightly annoying. But I am prepared for that.
Yep, D-Reacts are strong.
Definitely, yeah. I think I'm actually fine not cycling this. Yeah, that seems okay. So I think removing the fates is okay. But I would definitely keep the sinks, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Ooh,
it's
Arclight
time.
Sentinel. Okay, sure. Yeah, that works. That definitely works.
Because now I get to, if you're doing this holding a shred, I get to gank you a little bit,
That's
and
true.
then, and now I'm gonna try to make my push for
I'm
the
not
win.
holding a shred.
Not only a shred.
Nope.
Unlucky for me.
Yeah. And now I'm going for Graven Call. So I actually, that's not so bad, because I get a dagger back, which means I get another use out of Flick Knives.
Another flick. Yeah, quite
which
good.
is definitely quite
Ooh,
strong. And a
banish
Triumph
one of the
Gone,
best cards in the deck. Yeah,
also not
pretty
bad. Yeah,
good.
for sure. And sure, like, I mean, your turn is just Arsenal Pass, and my turn is just, yeah, clear Arclight Sentinel. But yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. So let's see. I think since for some reason the blue stealth card is not in my graveyard, since Talishar decided to eat it, I'm still gonna do the same thing and just clear it like that.
What's weird is you still have like exactly the number of cards in your deck
Yeah,
and hand and graveyard as
it
you would, I
just
think.
really ate one of the cards. I don't know what's
Yeah.
happened there. It's just weird. I have one more in graveyard because of the time skippers. So there is one card missing in my
Oh,
graveyard.
yeah,
The
okay.
numbers don't
Oh,
add.
yeah, fair.
The numbers don't add up entirely.
Weird. So let me go this guy. No Phantasm.
Sure, it's good. True. What do I do here? Interesting. Interesting. So you most likely have another Herald to follow this up. Or you develop an Aura. Both are like okay outcomes, I think. Another Herald doesn't feel great, honestly. Yeah, I think I'm fine blocking like this. And then using the D-React here. And then I think I'm not going to cycle. Yep, this is fine. Yeah, okay, sure. That's also okay. Can't play around them forever, unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunately for me, the best one for me to tutor at the moment is in my pitch zone.
Oh, okay,
So,
right, yeah. That's a bit
yeah.
unfortunate, yeah. And Erudition doesn't do anything unless you can clear that arsenal right now. Also,
Well, Erudition's already
you've
dead.
already used Erudition. Yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah. I mean, I
So I
guess you can get
think
you can get Triumph just to get it out of the deck because you've already used Halo, so it just doesn't, doesn't do
mm,
anything.
you would think that it doesn't do anything, but it's actually still going to be pretty good this game, I think.
Okay, sure.
It'll be good on a turn where I like, assuming I have enough of these line up,
Mm-hmm.
if I could Wrath a Triumph,
Mm-hmm.
Herald Triumph,
Mm-hmm.
tutor
Mm-hmm.
in the Figment, then hit
Mm-hmm.
you with another Herald.
Okay, sure.
So I think I'm getting Rebirth,
Yep,
grabbing a War Tune, and being very sad about it.
that makes sense. Yeah, fair enough.
And yeah, like I would be flipping the Ravages here, but I don't think I can afford to,
Mm-hmm.
given that you still have like 3 cards, Flick Knife.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I just have to pass.
Okay.
Very sad.
Yep. Fair enough. Okay. So you've used 2 Arclight Sentinels already, I think, right? One's in your soul, one's in the graveyard.
Yep.
So there's not a whole lot is gonna happen there. Let me think.
Maybe it was correct to flip. Because,
Yeah, I don't know.
well, like the main trouble is if you have an extender, then you just throw it at my Angel and kill the passing, and I'm like very sad.
Yeah.
I'd much rather take 5 to the face than my Angel be dead.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
So
I think
yeah,
this
I
is
don't know.
still correct. I don't know. Let's see. Let's go with this. Oh, yep, like that.
What, you did Tunic first?
Yeah, that's a misplay. I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, what the heck is this?
That was just a misplay.
Another
It's just
another
telegraphing.
CNC?
It's just telegraphing what I'm about to do. So that was definitely
Yeah.
a misplay. Don't use your tunic first. Especially if you dagger and they like ALS in response, you're going to be really sad that you used the tunic
Yes, you
first.
will.
So that's definitely a misplay on that.
Shake down.
Front, but yeah.
So this is like only Shred and Concealed Blade, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I think I have to take it.
Okay.
And flick, I suppose.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'd much rather the flick be gone here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it's kind of interesting. Like maybe I can do a 3-block.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, no, because if your card is Shred, then I get got anyway.
Yeah, if it's a shred, like the 3-block is exactly what you don't want to be doing.
Right.
I think
right.
not blocking this if you have the space for it is fine. So obviously I'm choosing yellow here.
Yeah.
And you have the double War Tune and the Sea Cat. So that's actually interesting because you can play the Celestial Cataclysm here. I don't think you're willing to give up 3 soul, especially with me at 28 to do that.
No, I'm always throwing a Herald.
Yeah,
Because I
so
have
I
the
think
passing.
I'm just taking, because double War Tune is also kind of annoying because you can just go yellow, pay for footsteps, and then yellow and stuff like that, especially because you have the passing and I can't pop it. You can just go War Tune off of 1 yellow. So, yeah, I think I'm taking the War Tune here for sure.
Well, I can never do War Tune because I won't have the... Like, if you leave me both War Tunes, I have a blue card. So
oh, yeah, sure.
the first
yeah,
one
yeah,
doesn't have go again.
In that situation, no. But like if you had a 4th yellow, I guess. But
yeah.
So, true. That would not work. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. What do I do here? This kind of interesting. Ooh, this is rough. That's interesting. That is very interesting. That is extremely interesting. Yeah, sure. Hit me.
Oh, baby. Hit you. Yes. Finally.
It took a while, right?
Yeah, it did. Uh,
Kind of annoying that it's that one because the spectral is very relevant right now, but yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
I think I
not
do.
not specifically right now, but just generally relevant, right?
Yeah. So given the life totals and that you just went for no blocks, I think I have to flip and attack you with this
Mm-hmm.
and make some spectrals.
Yep.
I'm at risk of death.
That is probably pretty reasonable, yes.
Oh, whoops. Sorry. I
Mm-hmm.
clicked the wrong thing. No, we have to back up.
Sure, yeah.
Ah, how annoying.
No
All
worries,
right.
yeah. Just reset. Yep. Okay.
There we go. Aegis.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is scary.
Yeah, again, this could have been like the wrong decision, so I don't know if that's correct, but I think it might be. Let's see. We start with this. We banish the nerve scalpel. I should have a. It just like my blue stealth cards just don't show up in my graveyard.
Oh,
They're just
okay.
gone, both of
Well,
them.
we can
That's
use
interesting.
like
Um,
the
I mean, it's
whatever
fine.
mode to
I have
fix in
the
the
yeah,
future.
I have the daggers, so it's okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of all right.
Alrighty. I have an ALS. I feel like I have to deploy it or
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
That's pretty reasonable. That's
yeah,
unfortunate because that's like, yeah, that's the one thing that blows this play out is like you
yep.
drawing ALS with that exact hand. So that feels extremely bad right
Yeah.
now.
Well it was in Arsenal, so
Ah, okay, you had it for a
I
while.
could have
Okay,
done it with
yep, that's
an
fair
extra
then.
card in pitch, but this
That's
seems better.
fair
And,
then.
and
Yeah.
now I just give you my hand. You have to kill the thing and I
Mm-hmm.
get to keep my angel.
Yep, that's fair. That is fair because I also can't flick here because you have 3 spectrals. Yep. That is very unfortunate, but
At
what can I
least I
do?
think this is a little bit better than trying to throw a Wartune at you.
Mm.
Um,
No, I think I agree.
and and my reasoning is like there is a chance you just don't draw the extender
Mm-hmm.
to really make me scared again.
Mm-hmm.
So I
No, I
think I
think
like this.
that's a reasonable play, I think, yeah.
Whereas if I give you something to do with your extra 3 blocks
Mm-hmm.
and I've lost my angel, that I don't like that.
No, sure, that makes sense.
You do have the
Um,
extender.
I had that on the last turn.
Oh, it would have been massive.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that was the idea. Like I can do
yeah.
like extender into attack.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of like why I kept that hand, just because like I could have
Mm-hmm.
pushed 16 damage at you, and that's kind of like you don't get to do that very often with Uzuri. So when it lines up, it's just really big. So yeah.
Yep.
Ah, there's the last soul shield. Okay, that's fair.
Is that the last one? I haven't been keeping track.
I think it's the last one.
No,
Yeah.
there's one more.
Is there one more? I'm not sure. The
Yeah.
one's in the graveyard. Um, and oh yeah, there's one more. Yeah, yeah. Okay, never mind then. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, and hmm. Yeah, I guess I still do this. Still not bad. See, so my turn would have been like 10 face and then death touch,
Yep.
which feels
Would have been nice.
pretty good.
Thank you,
Yeah,
ALS, bailing me
yeah,
out.
definitely bailed you out like a lot in that spot.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
And I think I'm happy to block and just
Mm-hmm.
repeat
Sure,
the
yeah.
proposition, like force you to do something good with your 5 cards, which you do. Makes
Yep.
sense.
And I have to banish Graven here, which is like obviously not what I want to do, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
think it's gonna be relevant. And yeah, Talishar kind of bugging out here. It's obviously a little bit annoying, but yeah.
Well, we can, when you see the final scrap, we can just
Mm-hmm.
adjust some things
Yeah, yeah.
manually,
Should be
probably.
fine, yeah. I think we should be okay.
This is almost the hand. It's so close, but not quite there. Um, it might be the hand anyway, actually. You'd have to have exactly shakedown,
Mm-hmm.
I think. I mean, I could just keep doing the same thing. I'm pretty tempted to block more.
That's fair.
I just don't think I get punished if I block.
Probably not,
Um,
realistically.
yeah. So what is the best line?
I
What's
mean,
left
I
in my
am
deck?
gonna run out of extenders eventually, right?
Yeah.
So like, I think that's kind of reasonable, yeah.
Question is whether I'm giving up Vestige
Mm-hmm.
to save a Spectral.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose I could do that on a future chain link.
Sure.
No, this could be wrong to give footsteps. Hold on.
I mean, I don't think there's anything in my deck that can pump this past 5, so you're definitely not losing the
Yeah.
footsteps, but the question is if you
Well,
want to pitch to it.
yeah, exactly. Do I
Mm.
want to go to the pitch? I think this is a decent enough opening that
Okay.
I should just
Yep.
go for it.
Sure.
My back is very much against the wall, so
Mm-hmm.
let's see.
Okay, so I think what I definitely don't want you to do is make more spectrals because they just kind of they're like massively annoying.
Hmm.
So I think what I'm gonna do here is let's see.
Oh, interesting. I had a line
Hmm,
last turn where I could have blocked with a card and
hmm,
Vestige on the Death Touch, and
hmm.
then you couldn't have flicked, and then I could have attacked with Aegis again.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Interesting. Um, yeah, I'm okay with this, I want to say.
All right.
If you
Sure.
want to commit another dagger, I think
Nah,
I'm in.
like I think not in this spot. Like I need to one dagger I need to keep, right?
Yeah,
I don't
and
think
it's the good one.
I can afford to do that, yeah. And the question is, what do I do from here? I can pressure you, because then you're forced to block more, but I think I'm gonna eventually run out of gas. So I think I need to clear Aegis here. Because I like you with no spectrals. That's definitely a good spot.
Yeah, like
Um,
if I just block 6 on this and then Aegis,
mhm.
that's pretty annoying for you.
Exactly, because then you have some, you're not in danger of running out of soul, right? So that's like
Yeah.
not gonna matter that much. Okay, Triumph for 7 with no Phantasm. Annoying, but it's okay. Let's see what I do here. Hmm. Huh. That one's a bit odd, to be honest. Hmm. Okay. Hmm.
I gotta say, the Concealed Blade did a lot of work.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um,
Yep.
keeping your flick knives
Mm-hmm.
better and keeping your looking for scraps better. I mean,
Definitely,
I
yeah.
like there should be the stealth there, but
Yeah, I mean that would have made a difference, but the extra flick, so I could turn
yeah,
on
the extra flick.
Shakedown was definitely very relevant. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm a huge fan of that. Honestly, at the moment, yeah. Okay, yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is this, just so I can fuel the last. Looking for a scrap, potentially. Ah, you have the Angelic Wrath. Okay, sure. I'm still gonna sink.
You've had the perfect number of D-reacts this game.
Oh yeah, they've been
It's
very,
been,
very good.
yeah,
But I mean, you just kind
yeah,
of, you know, with the you sort of blew them out with the
kinda. But
twice,
what I
I
mean
think,
is,
with the
what I
angelic
mean is they
wrath.
just came in good spots
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
all three
yeah,
times.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. But angelic wrath is so good. You run 6 of them, right? Like blues and yellows.
I'm I'm on 3 yellow, 2 blue, 1 red, but I
Ah,
sided out
okay.
the red.
Makes sense. Yeah. All right. That's reasonable. Yeah. Okay.
Or maybe that's no, I think I'm actually on 5 in this
Mm-hmm.
list.
Okay.
3 yellow, 1 blue, which
Okay. Let's
means actually they're
see.
all gone. That's bad for me.
um. Yeah. Okay. I'm happy with that. Let's go with this. Still a good card, and then I'm going to arsenal this.
Ah, interesting. I
Mm-hmm.
guess this makes sense. Yeah. Okay, I could have made a better play given that, but it's all right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's all right. Yep. Don't hate arsenaling that. Okay, triumph for 5. No go again. No nothing.
Yep.
Hang on. What does my hand do here? So you take 2 from the blood rot because you can't pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this is better. I don't want this to hit just because I don't want you to have more figments, I think. But I don't know if I'm gonna regret that. What figments do you actually have left at this point?
There are none.
Erudition is gone.
Yeah,
Protection
they're all
is
gone.
gone. So you can't actually tutor from this, right? So this
Nope.
doesn't actually do anything.
Nope.
Okay. Interesting.
Gives me
Yeah,
a soul for
it gives you a
C
soul, but
strike basically.
you're at 5, so that doesn't really matter that much. Yeah. Okay. So I think I can just value block this, and then just call it a day. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm fine with
that. The Raging Onslaught.
I mean, the thing is, like, it hasn't actually been relevant.
But
Again,
I think it
if
would be
it
in some
has,
alternate universe.
if it had been Amnesia or literally any other 3 block, it would have been the same in either of these
Same card.
games. Yeah,
Yep.
like it doesn't matter actually. So that's kind of interesting. So we're gonna
Oh
start
no.
with this again, and then we're gonna do this. Ah, the last soul shield. All right, sure.
Pain. So much pain.
So wait, that's for 2. So you go down to 3 right now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, I don't think I have to flick here. I can wait for whatever, because if you have a blue and I flick here, it punishes me. So I don't think I'll flick here. I can
Makes
still
sense.
flick on the next turn because you're not gonna do a whole lot with your turn. Okay, yep, you're drawing a bunch of cards. That's fair. No, wait, what was... Oh, you're pitching the tome to play the tome. Okay, sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
That hand was nearly death for me. Nearly.
okay. This is... do I want that in Arsenal? That's like one of the worst Arsenal targets. It's okay. It's actually not that bad, honestly. Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'm in trouble. How can I get out of it? Actually, maybe Victoria's just good enough. Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Keep me alive. Possibly.
Yep. Sure. Hang on, am I blocking this? I don't think I care. I mean, I go down to 9, but you're not really sending anything else. You're just pitching to Bloodrot. Interesting. Yep. I don't think I'm blocking this. Nope. Nope, I'm not blocking that. I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. Ah, you had the extra blue even. Okay, that's fair. All right. Mm-hmm.
Aha!
Isolate for
I got
0.
you.
Are you scared?
Got him.
Oh boy. All right. So that's blocking for 4. So I will still be switching that in, because it does get rid of Victoria.
Oh, I could have not used Vestige because, yeah, I forgot about the -1.
Sure,
Makes sense, makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Okay, that's Avalon, alright. Okay, hang on, what does this hand do? Yeah, I think I'm still okay. The thing is, like, I'm actually going into fairly dangerous territory right now. Just because of the... because you have Ravages, right?
Yeah. I need to be very clever with what I choose here.
Oh, wait, you can actually... you could put a Soul Shield back on top, right? If you
Yeah,
wanted
so
to.
I actually considered doing that last turn, but I decided against it because I know you have Codex of Frailty coming up. The thing is, your arsenal appears to be bricked. So I'm either doing Soul Shield, Angelic Wrath, or Celestial Cataclysm. And I don't know which one is best. It's just like I think it's got to be Soul Shield. I have enough Cataclysm left in the deck.
That's fair. Yeah, I think I'm still not blocking that. Even though that puts me on like a 2-turn clock. But if I can clock harder, I think it's okay.
Clock me harder.
Yep.
Yeah. This is good clocking.
Actually, that might have been a mistake. But no, I think I'm fine. Yeah, this is alright. I think this is okay. Okay, you're just letting that die. That's fair. Mm-hmm. Rough. Harsh.
It's so close.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Interesting game for sure. This is probably one of the tensest games I've actually had against the Prism, because it's just been like really back and forth. And I
Yeah.
think you would have probably had this in the bag if you didn't do the Halo turn
If
that
I
early.
if I didn't YOLO it, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is it's such good confirmation of time skippers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you play against the Prism and they don't respect the time skippers,
Yep.
they get in this stupid end game
Yeah.
that they don't want to be in.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. I think I pretty much don't have it out, but I'm gonna pretend that this is good enough.
Mm-hmm. C-Cat for 7. Okay, sure. I mean, that's honestly kind of annoying. Because, like, what does my hand even do here? Let's see. Yeah, this is honestly annoying. Because the thing is, because of Ravages, I kind of have to block this. Or at least, like, you know, block some
Well,
amount of it.
maybe. I only have one soul left.
That's true, yeah.
So
Right now
I would
you only
need
have one
like
soul left, that is true,
some
yeah.
ingenious way of getting my soul. Which actually, hold on. No, I don't have to be a genius. I can. Oh, no, I lied. All 3 soul shields are gone. Yeah. So.
And Rebirth is also gone, so you can't get
Rebirth
it
is
back.
gone.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that doesn't actually tie. I'm definitely blocking with Justice here. Or am I? That's actually the question. Am I blocking with Justice here? Let's see. Wait, I need to do a quick count of your eruditions. So there's 1 in the graveyard.
I think you should probably just like.
And there's none in the banished zone, and I think none in soul either. So you have 2 eruditions left in the deck, right?
Yeah. I think you should probably give 1 card, and that's it, and then just try to kill me.
I mean, I drop to 1 though if I do that, right?
Yeah, okay. But I mean, unless that card in your hand cannot be used on offense.
I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like, it can, but it's kind of rough. Ideally, I'd need 4 cards to really make this turn work. So I think, yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this. Honestly.
Yeah, just give all the armor if you need the whole hand. Yeah, perfect. And then I'm super dead.
I think for this turn to really do anything, I kind of need to do it like that, yeah.
Yep. Bad news for me.
Yep, awakening the last one. Sure. Makes sense, because that's worth more than anything else here. So I will go, we start with this.
Yep. And now I just can't even play around Flick Knife. I'm just super dead.
I should have daggered first, actually, but yeah.
Yeah, dagger takes a whole card.
Dagger,
I mean, it's all just...
Dagger first would have been better, but I think it doesn't really matter that much.
It doesn't matter. I have 0 outs.
Yeah.
I actually, I let this Angel take it at this point. This is the best play.
Yep.
But then you just like go again into Codex. Yeah, I die. Yep.
I don't actually have a Codex, but yeah, this works too, I think. Yeah.
Sure does.
And I still have the flick if I need to, so yeah.
Yep.
Okay, very interesting, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely confirms that time skippers is worth it
I think so,
because
yeah.
it makes the prism like deviate from lines that would otherwise be good. So in any normal prism game, I had my tome turn was, or my Halo turn was ALS Merciful Soraya on the board at the end of it. Against any other deck, they have to, or sorry, against non-time skippers, they have to kill
Yeah,
the ALS. It goes to Soul, gives me my back up to 1 Soul to activate Soraya again, and I'm just off to the races.
yeah,
Um, and it showed us that if I just jam right into the time skippers without any like fail safes,
yeah.
I make the game so hard on myself.
Kinda, yeah. Like unnecessarily hard, to be honest. Like, I mean, this was still a really close game at the end because the fact that you did like the Halo turn when you had such a high life advantage, right? Or like such a high life total still made it hard for me to really capitalize on it because you got a bunch of tempo from it, right? And then you got
Mm-hmm.
the auras out, and I did a decent job of clearing the auras in the early game. Um, but then I just had to let that passing stick. Like I couldn't clear that. I don't think there was ever a single point in the game where I could have cleared the passing mirage and not been punished for it, right?
Yeah, I think given I still had Dreamweavers,
Yeah, exactly.
you're in punished territory almost no matter
Yeah,
what.
yeah. So you could have gone like you can't pop this on like a critical turn either way, and then not being able to pop just made it like kind of painful. But I think this is like, I think this is a good example of how the game can go if it goes like if nobody high rolls like massively, right? I think we both had like regular draws kind of, right? Like
Kind of. Yeah.
you had your soul shield get blown out by the CNC, but I
Mm-hmm.
drew like both of my codexes in the first two hands and I didn't really get to play any of them. So I couldn't utilize like the most powerful card in my deck, even though in that matchup it's a little bit less powerful than in others, to be honest. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I think
So
this was a like a good example of like how the game can go if it's like kind of average and the Prism plays like not ideally in a way, right? I,
yeah, this was not ideal again only because of the skippers.
yeah,
So I think playing the skippers is it might just be mandatory if you want to
yeah,
be Prism like this.
I think so. Yeah.
And and I'm looking at some of the turn cycles here. I actually wonder if Pummel would be a good inclusion for you.
Um, I can see that because it's so punishing when you can get it off. But
Yeah.
also, I'm on like 12 pummel targets if you count surgical. Um,
So the reason I
I
even
don't
say
know.
it
Yeah.
is if you look at the times where you needed an extender,
Mm-hmm.
and then Pummel, like if you imagine Pummel being that extender,
Yeah, sure. Like it kind of is.
it
Yeah.
plays around ALS,
Mm-hmm.
it combos with Command and Conquer and Shakedown. Like
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
might just be a cheeky one of, like maybe a yellow, so you can still pitch it to daggers if you need.
I mean, that makes sense. I
That
could see
that
that.
just kind of pushes things over the top.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like you're defending well enough that the 2 block won't matter.
Yeah, like I mean, I side out basically all of the two blocks in this matchup except for Death Touch and the codexes, right?
Hmm.
Um, I mean, to be fair, like the list and the looking for a scrap, right? So, but that's actually all of the two blocks that I'm still on, right? Since I cut stuff like
Yeah.
Nimblism, I don't run Hurl, stuff like that, right? So I don't run Rabble. So this list is like already fairly light on the two blocks as it is. Um,
Mhm.
I kind of don't feel like Raging Onslaught. I don't know. It's hard to evaluate because it just didn't come up in both of these games.
Yeah.
But I feel like not running Raging Onslaught is probably a fine choice to make because it's like 3 sideboard slots to still have like a, I would say, relatively minimal impact on the game. Just because like passing and Halo with Triumph, and right, like you can do double Triumph if you need to get around a 7 popper, right?
Yeah,
If it's really critical. And then you have
so
Dreamweavers, and then you have Merciful. Like you have just so many ways to play around poppers actually being relevant that I don't know if it's worth running a popper that specifically only exists as a popper, right? Is what I'm saying.
I think if we played more games, it would come up. Like my
Probably, yeah.
experience with Prism is that if your opponent is pressuring your life total enough, or
hmm
in your case, you're doing a mix of life total and disrupting my big turn,
hmm
then the 7 popper can come at a time
Yeah.
where the Prism has no choice
hmm
but to throw the Herald, and if you have it, it's like
Yeah.
such a blowout.
That's
And
true.
that's pretty much how it feels against KO every game.
hmm
Prism has almost no outs to
hmm
them sending face and then drawing the swing big
Yeah,
or
that's true.
the assault and battery.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that's where you want to be. Like every deck wants to be where KO is in the Prism
hmm
matchup.
Yep.
So I think Raging, it could be good enough. Maybe we tweak the blue count a little bit to make it castable against, like, I don't know, your Guardians where you want a fat stack.
Where you just fat deck it and just run everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe that makes sense. Yeah.
hmm
Like I think it's like it's just such a bad card to run. Like it just doesn't do anything. I mean, I guess it blocks 3, right? So that's why it wouldn't be terrible in the Guardian matchups. It's usually you need to block against Guardians anyways, and then a card that can just block for 3 kind of gets the job done, and it's not super terrible. I don't know. I think my main issue with it is like, where the hell do you find the space for it, right? Um, that's kind of like the main problem I have with it, right? Because
Yeah.
if you look at what my list looks like right now, right? Hang on, I'm just gonna put that up. I think that should be it. No, actually, that's Arion's list. That is definitely not what I'm looking for, and this is also not logging me in right now. Kind of annoying. Hang on a second.
And to answer Lord Snoop or Spoop question in the chat, I think if I had done an Aegis swing, in those turns where I was trying to like fish for Pent not drawing a go again card, if I had done that, I would have had to give up Vestige, which I think would have been okay. And it would have basically meant I get like roughly 1 to 2 more points of value on each turn that I attack with it. And that could have been enough to grind the game out. I think I was dead by enough that maybe the outcome wasn't different. But yeah, it would have been an interesting change. I think I tunnel visioned a little bit on just like, oh, how many go against could he possibly draw in a row here?
Yeah. I mean, I do run like a fair number of them. There's just a couple of them are just kind of like, like Give and Take is kind of a sad extender
sad
in most
one.
situations, but it's still an extender, right? Like it still kind of gets the job done. So it's like it's a compromise essentially. It's incredibly
That's
good
actually where I would put Pummel
against Guardian, to be honest. Like Give and Take is extremely good against Guardians. When you can like loop them in the late game, and you can just generate so much value off of that. Just every single turn, hit them with Give and Take into Codex, and then just repeat that ad nauseum. And they don't really have an out to that, so that's kind of like pretty nasty. But
so one sec here, Pent. Responding to Spoop again.
Yep.
I couldn't do that because Flick Knives was still there. So I go to 0 Spectrals, and he flicks, and I lose my Angel. Yeah. So I still always had to give the Vestige. But okay, let's talk about where.
So yeah, I have the deck.
Change.
I have the deck up on the screen right now. And so yeah, like the problem I have with it, right, is that I really don't know what to cut to make space for these Raging Onslaughts. Right now, what I cut is all of my Kano tech. Which I mean is like except for Oasis, but I've cut like the Spell Void, I've cut the Orbitoclast, and I cut a single Sigil. All of these cuts make the Kano matchup significantly worse. Like, I mean, Kano's not great either way, right? It's not a good matchup, but I think the chance of running into a Kano at a ProQuest is high enough that you kind of have to respect it, unless you're fine with going, okay, I'll take an auto loss matchup if I run into it. It's okay, which I think is reasonable, right? Like, if you if you like if you like your chances of running into maybe only a single Kano or maybe not even a Kano, then I think just cutting the Kano tech is alright. And that's a reasonable choice to make. But if you want to have that in, like, I think you cannot tech against both Prism and Kano, I guess, is what I'm saying. At least not to like a major extent.
Well, there's enough overlap with the extenders that it might be possible.
Mm-hmm.
But so I think the things that you want to kind of ratchet up for the Prism, the Codex of Bloodrot felt really nice.
Oh yeah,
I think that was
that's really good. Yeah, true, definitely. Very
I
powerful
think
card. I think that could go up to 3 because it's also good against Guardian, right? It's good against like any deck where you need to race, basically, even against the aggro decks, because it allows you to keep parity with them pretty easily.
Yep.
So
it's also a bit more like it lets you play Death Touch more frequently, even though you're only on 9 stealth.
Yep. It's kind of like an extra stealth card in that regard, yeah. Because you can still like I'm only on 2 Death Touch for that reason, right? Because I don't have that many stealth cards, and it's a 2-block, so it's a bit of a liability in that regard. But I also don't want to lower it just because Death Touch is still really good. You know, it's just even with Lexi gone, turns out that a 1-cost 8 is just a good card. Like,
so I think if we did something like -2 come to fight, +1 Codex of Bloodrot, a yellow pummel, and then switch all the Raging Onslaughts back to Amnesia. I think that sounds pretty solid against Prism.
I'm not hating that, yeah.
And then you get to keep your Amnesias for Katsu and random stuff.
And they're also a pummel target, unlike Raging Onslaught, right?
Yes, yeah. That would be the reason to do pummel.
That's actually also kind of relevant, because then we're on like, what is that, 15 pummel targets, I think? So we got the already dead CNC Shakedown, then the Amnesias, and then the Surgical Extraction, yeah. So we got 15 pummel targets. So on average, 1 pummel target per hand, statistically speaking.
Something like that.
So that would make it's like, I guess, reasonable to Arsenal the pummel if you had to, right?
It could be, yeah,
maybe.
And really, like this whole idea, I think, is coming from if the Prism is doing their plan and you disrupt them, they can't do the plan.
Yeah, like the disruption is definitely pretty relevant, I think. Like, I think you have to play it defensively in the early game. But ideally, you also want to keep up the pressure the entire time, right? Like, I think we saw that in the second game that we played, where I was just able to clear board state and still pressure your life total. Sure, like, you drew crap hands. That definitely helps with that. But I think the overall game plan also just kind of worked out, right? Like, where I was able to pressure your life total and still clear up the board state. And in the first game, that just didn't work because I didn't draw any extenders in the early game. So.
And then I was also kind of impressed by Plunder the Poor. Not in the sense that it has a good on-hit or whatever, but just being a zero cost had added the flexibility to... Again, it gave you outs to when I went for the good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think in the first match, because I played that more optimally, and because you didn't draw extenders, the Plunder of the Poor was like pretty much only clear Spectra target, which makes me think maybe there's a way to shift some number of these contract cards over to blue stealth.
I mean, potentially, but then I'm also making cut to the chase worse, right?
Yeah,
And I'm
I think it would go down to
also
one
making
cut.
Graven Call worse.
Also
And
making
there's,
Graven
I
Call.
mean, there's an
Yeah.
argument to just like not care about Graven because it's I feel like it's a little bit of a high roll card. To be honest, like you can feel
Yeah.
very, very good when you get it online early. Um, but it's hard to get online sometimes because it's like so dependent on whether or not you get the silver, right? And then the matchups that know that Graven Call is a threat will do their absolute best to keep you off of silver. But that in itself is already a thing, like, right? If I can play against a Guardian and I can say I started on Graven Call, therefore Annihilate the Armed is now something that you actually need to block because the silver means your life gets a lot harder. That in itself is kind of like relevant, right?
Yeah, I think Annihilate the Armed might actually just be a good card.
Oh yeah, it is 100%. Like
And
in the current meta, I think it definitely is. Yeah.
so the question is, what does Plunder the Poor hit in the meta that we care about?
Warrior and ninja mostly at the
Warrior and
moment.
Ninja.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see Warrior.
Like I mean, in Warrior, it basically hits the entire deck except for like
Yeah,
CNC. Everything else
I
is a hit in
think
their decks typically.
I can't comment on the Warrior matchup. I I tested it a bit when Heavy Hitters first came out. I tested against Kasai a bit,
Mm.
and it seemed to me like the more defensive they were, the harder it was for us.
Yeah, for sure. Like I mean,
Um,
there's like the typical Kasai list or like Hatchet Dory list that runs like I don't know 6 D reacts and then like take it on a chin. That's pretty doable. As soon as
yeah,
you
and
start
some also
running
play.
exactly, as soon as you start running into those lists that are like running Tunic and then Shunts, it starts to get a lot harder.
Yeah, or that all you
Um,
got also is
yeah,
like
that all
really
you got
annoying.
is also a pretty nasty blowout, right? Because they can
Yeah.
just put that in front of a dagger and then it just kind of like negates the dagger. And especially
Yep.
against the Scale Peeler, that is so relevant because you're keeping an extra card to Scale Peeler and they just don't get punished for it because they can just clean block it. So, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Pretty good
So
card.
so I think in my head what I'm seeing now is Plunder the Poor. I don't really know what it does
Hmm.
that a blue stealth wouldn't be better at, aside from
Hmm.
oops, I drew all blue stealth.
That's like that was the main reason to run contracts in the first place, to be honest, right? Is like this um you don't have as many crap off turn hands, right? So yeah.
Right.
That's kind of the
I
point with Plan of the Poor is
yeah.
like and I mean it 4 is a relevantly higher number than 1, to be honest. So the breakpoint can be kind of relevant, I think. But
I think it comes in handy only when you draw those hands.
mm-hmm.
So
That's true, yeah.
I guess my point is we're trying to optimize a few things at
Mm-hmm.
once, and I don't think your 10th and 11th copy of a blue stealth is going to make that much of a difference. But
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Fair
I
enough.
think the math is something like 3% more likely to see it
Mm-hmm.
per one that you add,
Mm-hmm.
given starting at 9. So if you're okay with having, 6% higher chance to draw a blue stealth
Mm-hmm.
after having seen your first one already,
Mm-hmm.
then I think it makes a lot of sense to switch over to that. Like
Mm-hmm.
you'd have more resources for these turns you care about,
Yeah.
swinging daggers, and you'd have more scrap targets. Like 11 scrap targets for three scraps is super healthy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's see. If we're looking at that, your idea would be something like let's just adjust that real quick, right, on screen here.
Yeah,
So you would kick out the come to fight, right?
yeah. Unless you have some use case where this card overperforms, I think it's really stinky.
I mean, it's just kind of like an extender that also works really well with Codex of Frailty, right? It's like the whole sort of Nimblism
go again
thoughts
first.
from like the
Yeah, yeah.
early Redline days, right? The
Hmm.
reason why Nimblism was run in the Redline deck, right? Because it's so good with Codex of Frailty. And you can kind of do the same thing with Come to Fight, where you just go, okay, I have a blue, I play Come to Fight, Codex, CNC for 9, and that's just
Sure.
something that most decks just cannot answer in any kind of way, right? That's kind of the idea with it. Problem is, again, like it needs a number of specific things to really line up. So yeah, I don't know. So yeah, we cut out the Come to Fight, right? And then we also cut the Ragings, obviously, like those go in the maybe pile, and we bring back the Amnesia. Where did I have that here? And you would bring in 3 more blue stealth cards, right? To bring the total up to like,
Um,
or maybe 2,
I
17?
I th yeah. So again, if I were making this deck for myself,
Hmm,
it would be we're just not on Plunder the Poor anymore.
okay.
Um, Amnesia comes in, an
Hmm.
extra Codex of Bloodrock comes in.
Yeah, that's a good point. That
Uh,
that card has been a pretty consistent overperformer, to be honest. Like that's
yeah,
really strong.
I mean, I know where the poor outcomes are lie for it. It's basically you see it next to Codex of Frailty.
Yeah, I mean,
You see it next to too many non-threatening
hmm,
cards.
sure.
Yeah, but against the Prism,
Yeah,
it felt super annoying to play against.
yeah. Like because she has just no good way of dealing with the blood rots, right? Um, like you just can't really do anything because you're so yellow heavy. And then they can eat like your spectrals, they can eat your angels if it's like a really like the worst kind of outcome.
Hmm.
Okay, let's see. So hypothetically, let's skip the plunders. And then I guess we can go. Which blue stealth would you actually bring then? Malign, maybe? Is that actually
Um,
something you could run? Because I think it just does more than they realistically they all do the same thing, right? They're blues that
yeah,
are fodder for looking for a scrap. So which one you run, I think actually doesn't make a ton of difference. But
yeah. I think I think I would try playing 11 stealth cards
mhm.
and maybe play like 2 one-ofs just for some mind
Okay,
games.
sure, yeah. Let's go with one malign and then one wither because I think frailty is still pretty good against a number of decks. So I don't hate doing that.
Hmm. And then,
Because I
do we
think
have any
like
space after that?
we have 2 slots right now.
Interesting.
Um, that is with all of the Kano tech out of the deck though at the moment, right?
Oh, well,
So
you still have Oasis. That's
I do have Oasis, yes.
yeah.
I was thinking of maybe bringing back one Sigil because I do like Sigil, especially against the brutes.
I
And
think if you bring a Spell Void one
mhm,
and a Sigil, what does your
mhm.
deck look like against Kano?
I mean, ideally, I'd like to bring Orbitoclast.
Oh, we
Um,
don't have that yet.
we don't have that
Oh,
at the moment. Yes, I could
mm,
I could see cutting Graven Call for Orbitoclast, to be honest. Like that's something that I could work with. Yeah, I think that's reasonable probably.
yeah.
So we
Could
run.
also get rid of the contract helmet and
Hmm.
just only play balance.
I mean, right now I'm running the Mask of Perdition in like the Guardian matchup, where it's actually kind of relevant. Um, and then the what else were you
Yeah,
running that? Honestly, that's kind of it. Because like every other deck just and the warrior matchup, of course, yeah, it's also pretty relevant against warrior. It does get
interesting.
significantly worse if you're not on Plunder the Poor, though,
With
against
no
warrior, of
plunders.
course, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's what I was thinking. It's
mm,
like
mm,
you have this package of plunder plus mask
mm-hmm.
for just warrior and maybe
Yeah,
ninja, but like,
yeah.
do we really
No,
need it for
like
ninja?
against
Probably
Ninja,
not.
I just run balance, to be honest. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like,
So I'm not sure if that like if you're cutting plunders, then
mm,
Sorry, Mask. I think Mask also has to go.
Yeah, makes sense. So I'm
Oh, and
bringing,
we should cut to the chase as well. It's not.
yeah, I think if we're on this low number of contracts, I think cut to the chase just doesn't cut
Yeah.
it
So
anymore.
you probably do have space then
I
for
could bring
Orbido.
in the yellow pummel since we were talking about that, right?
Hmm.
Because that's like that. It's
Yeah.
just it keeps the reaction count kind of the same, so that kind of works. So that's yellow pummel,
It could be that I'm going too far down this like
maybe.
anti-prism
I mean,
rabbit hole,
I'm
but
I'm honestly I don't hate it that much because like Pummel's good against the Warriors. Pummel's good against the Guardians. It's not great against KO probably because I don't think you can keep the hands that you need to turn it on, but you can just side it out because
yeah.
I run 60 into KO anyway, so it's not terrible there. Um, so I think it's probably fine. And cut to the chase against KO is mostly just a 3 block, to be realistic, right? So we now have like 2 slots left. I think I bring back the Spellfray Cloak
Hmm.
for the Kano matchup. And then probably another Sigil.
And if I forgot where we landed with Mask of Perdition, if you still
Oh
think
yeah,
that's
right.
worth it,
Yeah, no,
that could be
that's
another
fair. But
slot.
I could slot that out. But to be honest, if I'm cutting Mask, I think I would probably like to bring back Crown of Providence.
Just for Guardian, right?
For
And maybe the
most,
mirror.
like Guardian, the Mirror, and Warrior, I guess. Because Warriors run CNC,
Yep. Yep.
and
I like it. Yeah.
yeah, like all of the other decks do too. And then it's just like basically, if you're just running balance for the 2 block, it's just kind of like, yeah, not that great, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I'm really happy with this. I've been trying to iterate on this type of 15 to 18 blue Uzuri and trying to get the ratios down. I like where this is looking.
Mm-hmm.
It's better than what I've come up with
Okay. I mean,
just by myself.
I kind of like running Annihilate just as like a filler
Yeah.
target, right? Because I mean, I could actually see if we're talking about just going straight up. I don't care about all of the silver generation because it just doesn't line up that much. What about we switch out Annihilate for Sensor, actually, if we're going down that route?
Um, I think if you're not playing
And then
Graven, then that
and
makes
then
sense.
probably take out Cut to the Chase and just run a Red Shred
But
instead.
I see this is where I think the cut to the chase is a good enough card
Hmm.
that Annihilate becomes better than Censor.
You think like just building around Cut to the Chase just because it's so good? Mm.
Well, if we were building around it, we'd still have Plunder and
Yeah, I
whatever
mean, sure,
else.
yeah, but
But
like,
but it's like I think building around Scrap is better than building around Cut to the Chase by a little bit.
hmm,
Hence
okay,
the blue stealth count. And
makes
then
sense, yeah.
I think Cut to the Chase having enough targets, even as a one of, is probably a little better than Censor.
Okay, that's fair.
But this is just my like I have zero evidence for the cut to the chase claim.
Yeah. I think the problem with this is like we have one Cut to the Chase, right? And we're currently on what is that like 3, 6, 9, 12 contracts?
That's pretty good.
I don't know. Like the problem with
It's
cut
not
is
like you're
like
trying to arsenal the cut.
yeah, that's the problem.
It's
Like you can't arsenal it, right? Like it's fine arsenaling any of the contracts in this deck, I think. Way maybe with the exception of already dead. Like that's not super hot in Arsenal, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world, right? Um, I don't know.
I just so like I'm looking at the number of times that cut to the chase plus a contract is good
Mm-hmm.
compared against the number of times that come to fight is good.
Yeah, but I mean that wouldn't be my switch, right? Like if I was taking out Cut to the Chase, I'd just side in Red Shred instead, right? Like just a single copy
Uh,
of Red Shred. and that's the change, I
I
think.
think the red shred gets a little bit better with more
Hmm.
stealth, but even then, I think it plays such a similar role,
Yeah.
and and I don't know. I just want to keep following this thread of going face against Prism
Hmm.
and kind of forcing them to have it.
Right. Okay. And then cut to the chase makes more sense because you can play that when they don't block, so they have less ways to
Yeah,
play around it. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
you know,
also
this whole
like we're on like 6 sources of ponder with the Codex of Bloodrot, right? But I think if
yep,
we're going down that route at this point, Arsenaling Cut to the Chase feels almost as bad as Arsenaling Shred with this list. I think
maybe. Yeah,
just because the number of targets is like kind of similar, and then drawing up
it's
drawing
almost the
up
same. Yeah,
your drawing up your contract on like the next turn or two can be like hard to do, right? Um,
could be. I mean,
so
it
I
would
don't know.
take it would
Yeah,
just take some reps to figure this out.
yeah.
Kind of the
I
same with
would I would
Pummel, right?
have to I would have to try that out. Like I think I would be happy to try this and then lab it a bunch and see where it lands. And if it doesn't feel good, I could totally see switching out Annihilate for Sensor, honestly.
Yeah,
Because like you can use sensor like two ways basically, right? You can either go for something, either you have information, right? For example, because Prism played a rebirth, right? And she put like a Herald of Triumph on top, or something like that, right? Or you have info against a KO because they revealed their cards with a cast bones, and you have a reasonable guess at what they have in their next hand, stuff like that. So either you have information, or you have cards where you know they have like a large number of copies of those cards. Like against Prism, again, you could just name like Herald of Triumph, and she has 9 copies of that in the deck. So the chance of you hitting that is like relatively high, right? Or you just use it as insulation, where against Brute, you just name Bloodrush Bellow. And then if they don't have it, you're like, great, I'm not getting Bloodrush this turn. It's fine, right? And if they have it, obviously it's a big blowout. So I don't know. I'd be willing to test that and just see how that feels, because it's like Sensor
yeah,
is a
yeah.
card that I feel is like kind of underutilized, but it's also hard to really utilize effectively. So I don't know.
Agreed. And we're also
Mm.
kind of testing the limits of
Mm-hmm.
if you can make 2 silver given your loadout right now,
Yeah.
then that's perfect. And you can use it on your boots once, and we're really happy about
Yeah.
that. Um,
Yeah.
Otherwise, I do like the idea of the plunders because
Mm-hmm.
I think 0 for 4 as a stat line
It's just
is
good.
pretty solid,
It's just
and I just
solid.
wish
Yeah.
the on hit was better. That's all.
I think it's kind of like not that great in the current meta, right? That's kind of the main issue with it, because
Mhm.
it used to be really good against Lexi, because Lexi
Yeah.
didn't
Yep.
block, and Lexi had exclusively hits for it in her deck, essentially, with the exception of maybe like CNCs if they ran them, and I don't think they did into that specific matchup, right? So against Lexi, it was just okay. You crack your mask when you hit with a Planet of the Poor, and you just bought yourself an extra mask, right? And there's currently no deck where this is the case, except for maybe like Ninja, right? And against Ninja, the issue is that you're still better off with Balance of Justice because they run out of war, and that's just, it's good to have that, right? Like extra card.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that Balance of Justice exists now, and that there's not a single top deck in the meta that is like a good deck to hit with Planet of the Poor, because like Dory or like the Warriors in general, sure, you're hitting almost everything, but they block a lot more. So the chance of you actually hitting with that mask on the Planet of the Poor is like quite a bit lower than it was against Lexi, right? That's kind of the issue I have with this.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's
And
sort
so it
of,
really
yeah.
becomes just like fodder for cut to the chase
Mm.
targets,
Which is
which is
okay,
fine.
but
It's
like
okay.
not amazing, right? Like you want your cards
Yeah,
to be in a better spot. So yeah, I
I
don't know.
think
I could
so.
I could see just skipping the whole you know, silver plan and just go like the red line route of just having uh, leave no witnesses, surgical, and then already dead, just because already dead is just a solid card. And then you just go, okay, whatever. I don't care about silver. If I get some, it's nice, but it's interesting.
So
Yeah.
why don't we wrap up here by just sideboarding this deck for Prism, sideboarding it for Kano, and making sure that those two plans look good, because that's kind of the goal we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable, right? Let's do that. Okay. So let me just go into the matchups, add new matchup. We go with Prism. Turn preference, we definitely want to go first if we can. And then the equipment looks good that way. Actually, no, hang on. We obviously gotta run time skippers. And then we go with the sinks. The Codex of Bloodrot. The shreds. And I guess since we took out a bunch of stuff, we can side in one. Like, what do you prefer here, Fate or Inertia Trap, actually? I think probably Fate.
I would prefer the Fate, yeah, for covering that red Triumph.
Like, the pumped attacks mostly result from Pierce, and as we've seen in the first game, you should probably take that out as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So I think that looks decent, yeah.
I think it does look decent, and I think it's worth noting if any of our changes end up not looking so good, we have these two other Fates in the sideboard that could replace them, and make the deck building open up a little bit more.
Yep, true. Definitely some options there. Okay. And then we do the Kano matchup, and that is untested right now, right? Like I have to still test that. I think actually against Kano, we also want to go first, just based on the fact that Kano wants to go first.
Yeah. And if you were on AB3, it can make sense to go second.
Yeah, but I'm not, so.
Or even AB2 makes a little bit more sense.
So we go like this, and we take out the tunic here. And we go Nullarune Hood, Spellfray Cloak. And then we bring in the Codex of Bloodrot. The sigils, obviously. The shreds are good here, because he does like to block a lot. And then I think the aces, and then we're done. And obviously for daggers, you want to switch out the Spider's Bite for Orbitoclast. Yep, I think that looks good.
Yeah, so I'm just a couple seconds behind on the stream here. Give me a sec.
Sure.
I'll peruse. Yeah, because you end up with just the defensive cards and then extra stuff for equipment. So perfect.
Exactly. It's just like all of the D-reacts out, and that's good to go, yeah.
I am impressed at how we got both matchups in 80 cards.
Yep.
And there's decent overlap, right? Like the Pummel and the Codex of Bloodrot are both pretty solid.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things I really love about this Codex is it forces the interaction with the arsenal.
That's also actually what makes it good against the aggro decks, right? Because like a lot of aggro decks, like Katsu, specifically Fi, but also KO, a lot of the times they just don't arsenal because they know it cuts your disruption in half, basically, right? And I think that's and then forcing them to arsenal a card, and then you can blow that card up with something like a CNC or Leave No Witnesses is just a really, really big thing. Very relevant. Doesn't happen a lot that it lines up that way, but it does sometimes, and then it makes the game just a lot more like it gives them a big headache, right? Like they need to suddenly think about the CNC in terms of this is not just 6 damage anymore. Now it actually has a relevant on hit. So yeah, that's pretty nice.
Yep. Something else I just thought of about our Plunder the Porous is you have one place that Concealed Blade really wants to target. So that could also be something to look out for.
That's true, yeah. And that's actually also a decent argument to keep Annihilate over Censor, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But to be honest, I mean, redline decks are running like 8 to 9 copies of Shred and even less Assassin attacks typically. So I think that's kind of okay.
Well, the shreds are so nice because you put it on the stealth and then you swap
Yeah,
out
I
into
know. You swap.
generic.
But I
Yeah.
mean, we are running like, what is this? Like 3, 9, 3, 6, 9. So we're running 11 stealth cards. So we can do some of that. Because I think most
Well,
redline
you,
lists are in what, 15 stealth cards ish?
yeah. Well, what I mean is you can do the shred thing, but not concealed
Hmm.
on
That's
on the
true.
swap,
That is
which
true,
is
yeah.
unfortunate.
That's
But
a good point, yeah.
you have nine premium targets for it, maybe 12 actually.
Yeah.
You count
I mean,
count already dead.
I got Already Dead, Surgical, Shakedown, Leave No Witnesses. Yeah, it's 12.
It should be
And,
enough.
and
It
Death
should be
Touch.
enough.
And Death Touch, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think even without the Annihilate, it's fine. Because realistically, Concealed Blade kind of has to line up, right? Like mostly you use it either as a blue pitch or you block 3 with it. That's what the card is mostly used for. And
Yep.
sometimes it just lines up and it gives you a way to like just turn, a larger hand with a couple of spare blues into relevant damage.
Yeah.
So that's kind of good. Yeah, I think I'm kind of like I'm liking the sensor more and more the more I look at it. To be honest, I think I'll try that out. But let's leave it like this for today, and I'll lab the deck a bunch with the sensor in and cut to the chase, exchange for a shred, and then I guess we'll see where we land in the end. But I'm liking these
Yeah.
changes.
And we gotta be honest about the pummel thing. I
Yeah,
really want it to be good. It seems like Prism
like
and maybe Kano are good reasons,
yeah,
but we gotta be honest.
the pummel could be something that just comes out of the deck. That
Yeah.
is definitely realistic. Yeah, I'm not hating it, but also it could be pretty bad. So I guess we'll have
Yeah.
to see how that works. But
Like it might just be better as the third sigil.
yeah, I'm not hating it though. Like I like the idea behind it, and I think with the higher blue count, it also makes a lot more sense to run it, right? Compared to the something like 12 blues that I was on before I started changing the deck in the more blue heavy direction. So yeah, let's see.
Yep.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Lovely. Before we finish this whole thing, anybody out there still have any questions to Tom or me? Because we've been at it for like almost 4 hours now, and I think it's time to like just call it a day. So if anybody's still watching this after 4 hours, thanks for sticking around, first off. And then, yeah, do you have any questions to either of us?
If not, maybe or either way, you should put where to find us in the Discord.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
If you
point. Yeah,
yeah.
like, I mean, you can just go to like the purple Discord, right? And we're definitely both on there. There's also the Spider's Web. It's like an assassin only Discord, so we're also both on there. Actually, I'm gonna put a link to that in the description of the video, in case you're interested in joining up. And yeah, I think I don't see any questions right now coming up in the chat. So yeah.
Yeah, we can close it out.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Feeling pretty good.
Yep, definitely. So thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. And yeah, like if you have any questions that come up in the future, obviously you can just leave them in the comments to the live stream and we can answer them that way. And yeah, with that, oh yeah, is there a link for the Spider's Web? Yeah, I link it in the, I'll put a link in the description of the video, but also let me just quickly put one up in the chat. There you go. All right, guys, with that being said, see you all in the next one, and good luck to any of you repping Uzuri in your pro quests, and also good luck if you're not repping Uzuri, but I hope you're still sticking with Uzuri, of course. And yeah, I'll see you guys around. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Pretty good.